Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei became the guardian of the Lothlórien forest in the Lord of the Rings movie. Before we start, please go support Vitox44 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Clarification. Issei would die at the hands of the fallen Reynare on the day of their date, but due to his reputation in the Academy, Rias decided not to revive him as her pawn, so that day Issei dies without even knowing what his future would have been. But not everything ended there, but he had another chance to be reborn as a guardian of the Lothlórien forest in Fírien, an ancient elven kingdom of the medieval faction. I will use the women from the Reynare anime for the story, and there may be a total of 25 more women who appear. The factions will appear, because the world is on another plane of the same dimension as heaven and hell in the anime. Issei will have certain memories, but when he sees Rias he will recover all his memory. Having a stone body, he will not have perverted desires to a certain point, but only when he is in his guardian form. Due to a certain event he will be able to change form to a humanoid for the delicious. So far 9 places are occupied by the characters of Reynare, so there are about 16 places left for more women, and I don't know if you want to give me ideas. Remember, the women must be medieval themed so the story makes sense. Another of the characters that I can add are the Yukoso elves. I'll leave you their image. Remember, women from the medieval setting, orc girls, female giants, and those things can be, or even human princesses, but they have to be medieval as warriors. I will also say that this is not a story of betrayal, so it is very possible that I will add the original girls or some as Issei's partners. Then I will make a section for you to vote on which ones will be with him in this story. Also remember that Issei could not communicate with Drake because only after being revived could he awaken the booster gear, so he knew nothing about him. So when he died he made it go to the next carrier who would possess it. Issei will have 2 forms, the first being the Forest Knight, and the other one of the giant, or guardian. Guardian mode. The last one would be an evolved facet in a guardian way, so to speak. Prologue. What would have happened if Issei hadn't been revived by Rias? If thanks to that simple fact the events that should have happened didn't go through that change, but thanks to that other people could be saved from a possible dark fate. We can see the brown-haired boy lying next to the fountain barely conscious while he struggled to stay awake. He was in very bad shape from the attack from that fall on whom he considered a girlfriend. Blood was coming out of the hole in his abdomen due to the spear of light that pierced him. Issei, seriously? In this little park? In some inexplicable way, is this how I'm going to die? Issei was beginning to lose the strength to stay awake, while a little further away we can see an albino girl watching him take his last breaths before leaving this world. Kaneko. It's a shame that he has to die, but my master doesn't like perverts, so I'm sorry, she said as she proceeded to leave the place without caring about the brown-haired boy. Issei was thinking about the redhead he saw today in the window of the old building while he was barely alive. Issei, I wish I could at least have seen and touched her breasts before leaving this world. His eyes lost their shine as he looked at the full moon tonight, and without further ado he took his last breath, leaving the world of the living. But if he had held on for a few seconds longer, he could have been saved by a girl with glasses and a cold gaze who felt the energy of the fall. So she went to see what was happening with her entourage, finding the lifeless body of the brunette. While this was happening, we can see an elf sitting on a balcony of her castle watching the full moon, praying to her goddess for help. Celestine, O great white goddess of the moon, hear your faithful servant prays for your help. I need your divine intervention. My people are under great threat. Please answer my pleas. Suddenly the moon emitted a white glow in front of her, showing a tall blonde woman. Goddess Intel, what's going on? Queen Celestine, what's bothering you? Celestine, my goddess, a group of cruel people are trying to capture us to use us as a means to increase their troops in their war with the biblical factions. I fear for our people and their future. I need your help to save us from this cruel fate. Goddess Intel, do not fear, my daughter. Your people will not fall into the darkness of those people. When they try to enter this sanctuary or the forest, a being will protect them from all evil. An ancient protector who has not been summoned for millennia, but who must now rise again to defend them. Celestine, but where is that protective being, my goddess? Goddess Intel, don't worry, my daughter, I'll go check on her right now. Celestine, thank you, my goddess. Goddess Intel. But he alone will not be able to do everything. You must seek out and unite the other peoples to be able to help him. It is up to you whether he can save you or make you suffer a cruel fate," she said, disappearing in the same way she arrived. "Celestine, unite the other peoples, but how will I do that if we are separated by our beliefs?" she said, worried about the order the goddess gave her. While this was happening, the chestnut tree was wandering around the place without being able to do anything. "Issei, where am I? What happened?" he asked himself while he was there. He couldn't do anything, he couldn't feel his body, the time there seemed eternal, he didn't know how long he was like that, he wasn't hungry or thirsty, he wasn't even sleeping. The brown-haired boy was beginning to forget everything he knew, his name, his family, each one of his memories of his life vanished as if nothing. Now he was just a simple shell without any memory. Out of nowhere he began to shine as he disappeared into green particles. In the forest of Lothlórien in the kingdom of Fírien we could see the goddess Intel walking towards an old shrine deep in the forest. It was the last bastion of what was once one of the most influential civilizations in the forest. The place held bitter memories for Intel, but he knew he had to move forward to ensure peace for his servants. He then arrived at the ancient center of the sanctuary, seeing a statue of an ancient being who had protected the place. Intel, seeing this statue, approached it while examining it in detail. "Intel, it's time for you to walk the world again, guardian of the forest. The sanctuary needs you again, so rise from your long sleep and do your duty," he said, clasping his hands and looking at the statue. Saying that, the moon appeared, beginning to shine brightly, illuminating the statue, which began to come to life as if it were waking up from an eternal dream. Intel, seeing it rise, stood up again as it headed towards him. "Intel, welcome my guardian, I need your help to protect this forest and its people again." The guard knelt before her without doing anything else. "Intel, I see that your current core is too damaged for you to speak again, let me give you a hand." She approached him, placing a hand on his chest as she began to recite an incantation. Suddenly, green particles began to appear around the guard and enter him. "Intel, ready, now you should be able to talk again without any problem. Tell me what your guardian name is." "Issei/Guardian. I have no name, my lady. I don't remember anything about myself or my past." "Intel, I see, your soul transmuted into a very strange state. From now on you will be called Beltran, my guardian." "Issei/Beltran, as you ordered, from now on my name is Beltran and my duty is to care for and protect the forest and its people." "Intel, yes Beltran, that is your duty from now until the end of time. Now I must withdraw and notify my daughters of your presence," he said, disappearing in a beam of moonlight. Issei/Beltran stood up from his place and without warning, he stuck his sword into the ground, returning the place to its former splendor while he was surrounded by vines, increasing his form into what from now on will be known as the Guardian of Lothlórien. Meanwhile, in the village of Celestine, all the local elves could be seen gathered in the town square by Celestine's orders. "Celestine, listen, people of Lothlórien, I know that right now you are afraid of what could happen because of the coming war. But you should not be afraid. Our goddess heard our pleas and decided to send a protector of the forest to help us." The elves, upon hearing her say, "protector," felt worried because it would be male. This was due to what men used to do to them when they caught them before. "Celestine, I know that most of you may fear for our safety because our guardian is a man, but remember that he is a soldier of our goddess, so you can be sure that he will not harm us." Everyone calmed down upon hearing that, but before they could continue the moon began to shine, showing the goddess Intel. Instantly everyone knelt before her. "Intel, hello my daughters, I know you are all worried, but now the guardian is awake, so you should not be afraid of him. He is here to protect you from man, so please do not consider him a threat. He is a being of nature that has protected this forest since ancient times." "Celestine, but my goddess, where are you right now?" "Intel, he's restoring the forest shrine so it can be used as a checkpoint and to be able to install the transport gate between the shrine and the village." Suddenly the transport door appeared from the ground behind her, from which Issei/Beltran emerged in his guardian mode, surprising everyone to see that he was a species of ancient ant who had become extinct millennia ago. "Issei/Beltran, the sanctuary is ready," he said, kneeling in front of her. "Intel, thank you, dear guardian. Now stand up and look at the people you are supposed to protect." Issei, hearing that, stood up while analyzing the elves, who felt a little stiff upon seeing the guardian's serious and analytical gaze. "Beltran, I understand. If you don't need me for anything else, I will proceed to watch the edges of the forest," he said while he was wrapped in a dome of vines disappearing from the place, leaving everyone surprised by that ability. "Intel, well, you know who the protector is. Now I must go. My time here is up," he said, disappearing. All the elves were calm, knowing that their guardian was an ancient species that protected the forest. But Celestine was worried by the words of her goddess. She had to unify the people of the kingdom to be able to free themselves from the evil that is to come, but she did not know how to do it due to the rivalry that existed between them. Chapter 1: Cause and Effect. It had been some time since Issei's death in his old world. When his parents found out, they were both devastated. They knew what their son's attitude was like, but he was their son and they loved him just the way he was. When his death was learned, many families and friends of theirs wished them their condolences due to their loss. Issei's high school classmates were exalted to learn of his death. They knew what he was like and many hated him for that, especially women, but not enough to want him dead for that reason. The news impacted the entire school. His two friends were totally shocked to learn of their friend's death, while Aika was stunned to learn of it. Although she was known for always bothering him, you could tell she had feelings for him. Upon learning of his death, at that very moment her world completely collapsed. She began to cry in front of everyone while the teachers of the place tried to calm her down, along with her parents who saw her on TV went to the place. But what happened to those who were supposed to be the brown-haired boy's partners? In the student council we can see Rias Gremory sitting thinking about how to get rid of her engagement. Akeno was serving tea as usual while Kaneko is on the couch eating her sweets and Kiba on the other reading a book. Suddenly everyone hears how the club door opens, showing the student council commanded by the president Sona Sitri, or Saturi, who was more serious than usual. "Rias, now what's going on, Sona, that you're coming into my club like that without permission?" "Sona, don't act like a saint, Rias. You know very well why I came here like that. Tell me, wasn't it your duty to save young Hayata from that fall?" "Rias, I don't think so, Sona. I didn't care about him at all, so I didn't see any reason to save him from his fate." "Sona, you're spoiled. Our duty is to save humans from the supernatural regardless of our opinion. I'm not saying you should make him your dear, but at least you were able to save him from that end." "Rias, look, Sona, we've been childhood friends, but you don't have the right to say what I should do and what I shouldn't. I have the decision of what I want to do and what I don't. Even my brother supports me in everything I say, so I can't." "Sona, that is irrelevant. I also have my sister who is a Mahu, so that excuse is useless against me. It is your obligation to act when required regardless of your opinion on the objective. This will not stay like this, Gremory. This will be known at the meeting that speaks in a few days, so you better start behaving like a noble," she said, leaving the occult club in silence. When they left, a knock was heard from Rias on her desk, which caught the members' attention. "Rias, this is getting very annoying. I don't think it matters that a young man with altered hormones is missing." "Akeno, well, you know how Sona is with these matters, so you knew she wasn't going to keep this to herself, Rias." "Kaneko, Rias, why didn't you ask me to save him that day knowing this would happen? I know he wasn't an exemplary young man, but we shouldn't intervene?" "Rias, look, Kaneko, that doesn't matter to me in the slightest. Right now I have a more important matter to resolve than the death of just any student." Everyone went on with their own business when he said that without giving the matter any further importance. The student council was currently in their room doing their thing as usual. "Tsubaki, Kaicho, are you okay?" "Sona, no, Tsubaki, it bothers me how childish Rias can be sometimes. She knows the rules that were given to us to be able to be in the human world, but she doesn't give them importance." "Tsubaki, well, with her engagement, she must be very stressed. That's why she's behaving like this." "Sona, that's not an excuse. I was in the same position as her at the time and I managed to save myself despite having my duties and obligations in place, so it's not an excuse. Her family pampers her too much, so she doesn't mature as a noble lady should." Kingdom of Fírien, Lothlórien Forest. The forest was more alive and calm since the awakening of the Beltran. The animals knew very well that he was their guardian, so whenever they saw him they approached him, while the flora was revitalized by being near him. It was known that the Enti were a species that was based on natural life, so they always brought new life to the forests they resided in. While the elves at first felt intimidated by him, they quickly accepted him when they saw that he cared for them and helped them when he was near them. He became loved by the people in the few days of awakening by the guidance of the goddess Intel. Meanwhile, we can see Queen Celestine in her house thinking about the task her goddess entrusted to her regarding her new savior. Celestine, I don't know how I'll get the other queens to come to my town. It's known that we don't get along very well because of our cultures, but you should know what's coming, she said, watching her people do their things through the window. Then she sees Beltran carrying an old trunk from a tree that fell. Who would have thought that our protector would be from an ancient race, guardian of the forest? She said, looking at him. I should know him better. He may be an Enti, but he looks very young to be an ancient one. His aura is young and he doesn't have much vegetation on his body to be an ancient one. You should see what his tastes are, since he will be our guardian from now on, she said as she proceeded to leave to go to him. Abdul Mountain, several kilometers away from the forest. In this mountainous area you could see the people of the Dark Elves led by their leader Olga Discordia, who was on her throne thoughtful due to a premonition she had in her dreams. Olga, damn, I can't believe my people will fall to the demons. We are not a weak people to fall so easily to simple creatures of low intelligence like them. But my premonition never fails, as does the word of our goddess. Flashback to Olga's dream. You could see her and her knight being surrounded by several demons who were raping them as well as her people, while she was crying as she was suffering that fate, when suddenly everything goes dark and from the darkness comes out an evil-looking woman. Dark Goddess Letni. Haha, I can't believe my servants would fall to these creatures of mere desire. But I must assume it's because of their superior numbers. Olga, O goddess of darkness, how can I prevent my people from suffering this dishonorable defeat? Goddess Letni, well, I don't want my only believers to be locked up and used like this. Listen to me carefully. Olga Discordia, my sister Intel, helped her followers who were going to suffer the same catastrophe by which she awakened an ancient guardian of the forest, but he is still too young to be able to unleash his full potential, so he will need the help of the other kingdoms apart from his own to win this war. So you must take your people and help the White Elves in their battle to avoid this premonition and make the other queens accept this alliance to strengthen the guardian's soul so that it becomes strong enough to save them. Olga, but our people don't get along. How can I make that happen? Goddess Letni, that is your problem, my dear. I only gave you the answer to your problem. It is up to you how to make it a reality. Fufufu. I hope you achieve it, or else you will be used as an incubator by those beasts. At that moment she wakes up from her dream, sweating from what she saw and her task. End of flashback. Olga, the idea of being next to Celestine bothers me, but I won't be able to do this alone. I'd better start preparing everything for our trip, she said, getting up from her seat. Chloe is preparing an audience with my people. I need to warn them of my premonition and the word of our goddess. Chloe, understood, my queen, she said, leaving to prepare the audience. Olga, we must quickly go to the forest of Lothlórien and ask for help from the White Elves and my sister Celestine. Chapter 2, Other Kingdoms. Isengard Kingdom Royal Castle. Queen Primfiore could be seen sitting on her throne, while next to her was her cousin Alicia Arcturus, being the leader of her personal guard who protected her. Prim, things are complicated, Alicia. What will we do if those demons attack us? We are not many. We are barely 2,000 women in this city and only 60% can fight. If they come, we will fall to their desires as always objects. Alice, my queen should not worry. Even if we fall, I swear to protect you from those frivolous creatures with all my being, even if it means giving myself to them for their salvation. Prim, that's what scares me the most, cousin. I don't want to lose my only family left. Alicia, calm down, Prim. I know we'll get through this together. At that moment, a priestess enters the room and bows to both of them. Priest, my queen, I have a vision from our goddess about our future. Prim, what is that vision you received? Priestess, the kingdom of Isengard will fall to the demons if we fail to unite the different races of our world in this fight against them. Alice, explain how uniting with the other kingdoms would help us. Priest, By joining forces we will defeat the demonic forces that invade us, all with the help of a being reborn in the Fírien kingdom which is under the control of the elven queen Celestine. She asked for help from her goddess who sent them an ancient protector to protect the forest and its inhabitants from the demons who tried to invade them. But she needs the other races to join in their fight to win and save us from this horrible fate that awaits us. What will we do, my queen? Prim. So their goddess gave them a way to save themselves and us. I understand, thanks, priest. Alicia prepares the troops and holds a public assembly. We must warn our people about this prophecy and how to save ourselves. Alicia, we'll leave our city and go to the elven kingdom. Don't you think it's too much? I know Celestine and I are in a good relationship, but don't you think it's too risky to do that? We can try to defend the city before going there. Prim. No, Alicia, you heard what the goddess said. She already prophesied our defeat if we don't join with Celestine. We must leave as soon as possible, so prepare everything to talk to our people. Alicia, I understand, my queen. I will prepare the hearing immediately. Prim. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for trusting me this time. Alicia, you don't have to worry, Prim. Remember, I will always protect you. Fírien Kingdom, Lothlórien Forest. Beltran was walking through the northern part of the forest looking for any problem there, but was being watched by Celestine, who with magic was watching what he was doing from the town. When he was about to return, he heard a noise behind the trees, so he went to see, seeing a forest creature, although Celestine was surprised to see it in that place. It was a forest giverno, a species as old as the forest, but it was noticeable that it was wounded in its side, so Beltran approached it, although he had to avoid some of the wormwood's tail blows. When he reached it, he placed his arms on the ground, from which a petal sprouted, from which a drop of sap came out and fell on the mini-dragon's wound. Curandula, which surprised Celestine with that ability. The wormwood only stared at the ENT and lowered its head in a sign of respect, leaving the place some time later. Beltran looked where the wormwood had gone and continued on its way, but before he could continue, he noticed a disturbance in it, so he turned his gaze to the west, seeing that the birds were scared. So he began to run towards the place under Celestine's confused gaze. Beltran, someone invaded my forest, and they are hurting him. I will not forgive that, he said, increasing his speed. A few kilometers further on, at the western entrance, a small group of demons could be seen making their way through the trees, knocking them down and burning them, causing the animals to flee the area. Demon 1, hurry up, we must find out where those elf village is before it gets any darker. Demon 2, don't worry, if we find them we can enjoy this evening with some of them before reporting it, don't you believe it? Demon 3, I like the idea, but I feel like there's something else in the forest watching us. It makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. Demon 4, how scary. Is it just the animals, or do you think there is some kind of being that protects this forest? Ha ha ha, that is pure idiocy. Look what I do with the trees, he said, cutting several trees. If there was something like that here, don't you think it would have already happened? Everyone started to laugh at that because it was true, but before they could continue, from the dark part of the forest a thorny vine came out and wrapped itself around the demon's leg, pulling him into the darkness as he screamed. The other demons were scared to see that, but they couldn't continue thinking about what happened when a wooden stake came out of the ground, impaling the two demons that were behind the group, leaving only one who was terrified, so he began to back away, wanting to escape from the place, when he noticed that there was something behind him that was so big that its shadow covered him. But then he heard whatever was behind him begin to breathe heavily. Then he slowly turned around, looking out of the corner of his eye at what was behind him. Demon 1, ah! He screamed as he saw the being's fist approaching him, crushing him, while the forest fell silent. Celestine was surprised and at the same time scared to see how her guardian was already doing his job, but she was terrified by the way he eliminated the demons. For her, what he did was very bloodthirsty, but it was the duty that the goddess entrusted to her, so she had to accept it. Celestine, holy crap, that was very grotesque. But that's the job the goddess gave him, so I must accept it. At that she saw how Beltran approached the clearing and began to see the vacant lot that was there, which confused her quite a bit until he nailed his hands to the ground, raising a wall around the entire area of the forest of thorny plants that were around 800 meters high and 400 wide, while leaving 4 doors at each reference point there was. while leaving a wooden statue of him in his giant guardian form on each side of each door, as if they were guards. Beltran, that will be enough to avoid having invaders for the moment until I manage to prepare the defenses. Then he approaches the fallen trees and some roots emerge from his fingers that touch the centers while he transforms them into wooden golems that he orders to patrol the surroundings of the wall. Celestine was more than impressed by the wall he created out of thin air, and the soldiers he made out of the trees that were cut down. Celestine, I didn't expect him to do that. He's full of surprises. What other skills do you have in store, Beltran? She said, interested in her protector. While that was happening, Olga and her people had already begun their journey towards the forest seeking refuge from her sister Celestine, and Prim along with the other people of her kingdom were also heading towards the forest to form an alliance. In the human world, Rias Gremry could be seen saving a nun from death after her sacred gear was extracted by a group of fallen warriors, while she returned some green rings that would be her sacred gear while she was observed by her entourage and her friend Sona Citri and her entourage. Sona, see Rias, if I hadn't brought you another person I would have died because of your irresponsibility, but you don't want to listen to the reasons why I had to ask your family to start controlling your actions. Rias, we were childhood friends, Sona. How could you do this to me? Now my family has me under surveillance because of it. Sona, you must mature, Rias, that's why I did it. I hope this doesn't cut our ties, but I won't allow you to make the leaders take away our territory because of you. Rias just remained silent as she began to retreat with her entourage while taking the unconscious nun to the occult club. Tsubaki, do you think Sona will start behaving like this? Sona, I don't know, Tsubaki, I don't know. Grafia, are you there? Grafia, yes, Miss Citri. Sona, I suppose you saw her attitude, right? I hope your intervention makes her mature even more, if possible. Grafia, that's why I was entrusted to watch over you by your mother, Miss. Sona, thank you, and please send my regards to Lady Gremry when you see her. Grafia, I'll let you know, Miss. Then she disappeared from the place, imitated by Sona and the others. But from behind a tree a girl appeared who was watching everything that happened while hiding her presence, from which a red gauntlet appeared on her right arm. Drake, be careful, girl. If they find out about us, they will try to make us become their servants. Calm down for now. Thanks to your help I was able to keep your energy well hidden. But being alone I won't be able to do much, so I'll see which of the two I form an alliance with to help each other. Drake, I guess you won't change your mind, right? You know that I am very weak and I need your help to train. With just your advice it will not be enough to become strong and avenge him. Drake, you really loved him enough to go through all this, right? He was the only one who always treated me as an equal and didn't consider me as anyone like the others, so I'd at least like to get revenge on him, she said sadly as she began to shed a few tears remembering the person who stole her heart. Drake, I trust you, my friend, and that you will choose the best, but remember that some are very despicable beings, so don't blindly trust demons and other races. I understand. Now we have to leave tomorrow. I have to do some things. She turned around and started to leave the place. Chapter 3: Supernatural Problems. Core Academy. 5 weeks since Issei's death. Things changed since the death of the brown-haired boy. The Academy lost something essential. The girls were sad. Even though he simply bothered them, it was fun when he used to escape from them. Since he is no longer there, no one spied on them, which left the thought that boys did not like girls who were of the muscular type because of the practice of kendo, which made them think that they were not pretty or feminine, so their spirits fell from that day on. Some students found their days very boring because if Issei was always there, something funny would happen, like when they hit him or chased him for doing his perversions. His absence left a huge void in most of the academy. Student Council. Sona was sitting in her chair watching the schoolyard where the students were doing their activities. You could see that she was more serious than usual. Since the disappearance of the brunette, something inside her was bothering her. She didn't know why, but that didn't stop her from doing her homework, although every day that feeling became more annoying. Sona, the days are very difficult. Since the year began, things became more difficult as time goes by, and Rias only thinks about herself. If this continues like this, I will have to intervene in order to keep my territory while I take away Rias's for her incompetence in her responsibilities. But if I do it, it is possible that our families will fight over it. It is very annoying that things are like this, but it is what has to be done even if I have to lose my friendship with Rias before this is my dream, and to achieve it I need to keep my position as a noble," she said as she began to start organizing the papers she had on her desk. At that moment, someone knocks on the council door asking for permission. "Sona, you can come in," she said as she watched the door open. "Aika, hello President, I need to talk to you about an important matter," she said seriously as she began to approach the desk. Sona, seeing that she was releasing a powerful aura, stood up and created a barrier in the room, then stared at her. "Sona, tell me what you want here." "Aika, don't worry, he's not here to fight, he just wants to propose something to you." "Sona, propose something to me? Tell me what you think then." At that, Aika made Drake's gauntlet appear, which surprised Sona. Meanwhile, in the underworld meeting room, the leaders can be seen talking about the group that began to appear and their movements. "Sir Shay, this is worrying. That group has begun to move toward the supernatural realms, seeking more people for their cause, and we don't know what their intentions are. Seraphal, they are getting stronger as time goes on, so I don't think it's a good thing. We must join forces with the other biblical mythologies if we want to stop it." "Ajuka, that's easy to say, we've been at odds for years, so the relationship would be very fragile." "Falbium, this is very complicated, I just want to sleep comfortably." "Seraphal, Falbium, that's what you always do, but leaving that aside, Ajuka is right, our relationship with the other mythologies hangs by a thread, we can't start a war just like that." "Sir Shay, you're right, we need to think carefully about our moves. We need to call a meeting of mythologies and talk about what's happening." "Ajuka, it's a good option, but you thought about where the meeting would take place. I don't think they'd accept being on our territory just like that." "Seraphal, it's more than certain that each one would want to do it in their own territory and not in someone else's." "Falbium, and if we do it in one that is neutral, that has no allies or enemies like the kingdom of Fírien of the Kurwa warriors?" "Ajuka, it's a good idea, but we should ask first. I remember the last time one of us tried something like this without permission, the warriors intervened." "Sir Shay, then I'll go ask them to allow us to hold the meeting on their lands." "Ajuka, Sir Shay didn't advise you to do it. Remember that they don't like men, and you'll probably bring your sister along, so if she makes them angry, you'll probably intervene, which will cause a dispute." "Seraphal, so what if I accompany them with my sister and her entourage? There will be more women than men, so there won't be any problems, and we will be able to speak, so we will have a greater chance of being heard." "Ajuka, sounds good, then prepare to go to the kingdom of Fírien. Let's hope this treaty doesn't end in fiasco. Meanwhile, Falbium and I will talk with the other mythologies to arrange the meeting and where we will hold it." "Sir Shay, it's fine, although I don't think my sister will cause us any problems." "Seraphal, Sir Shay remembers the bulletins Sona sends us, she's been neglecting her duties since her engagement was arranged." "Sir Shay, I don't believe that she's failing in her responsibilities. My sister is a responsible girl," she said as she left the room. "Seraphal, I hope nothing bad happens, we need this treaty to be able to move forward in what is coming," he said as he left. While in the forest of Lothlórien in the village of Celestine, all the elves were very serious, since outside their village were the knights of the city of Isengard with their queen Prim, followed by her guard Alicia. "Prim, Miss Celestine, I need to speak with you if possible." At that moment, Celestine looks out over the village wall and sees Prim and her troops outside the village. "Celestine, what is happening, Prim, that makes you bring your army to my lands?" "Prim, I need your help. According to our oracle, we need to join forces to face the approaching enemy. That's why I come with all my people to ask you to allow us to be with you." "Celestine, the walls are speaking. Let them pass and call Beltran to help us if necessary." That confused Prim and Alicia because of the male name, she said, but then the wall opened, showing the elves aiming their arrows in case they did something, which worried Alicia, who raised her hand, causing her warriors to draw their weapons, which worried Celestine and Prim, but that act alerted Beltran, who loudly appeared from the forest, which alerted the warriors, but they could not do anything since Beltran extended his arms from where vines came out which held the weapons that the warriors had. snatching all the weapons they had, leaving them unarmed, although Alicia was not disarmed, so she went towards him trying to cut him, but Beltran wrapped her in the vines, leaving her in a somewhat sensual position. Beltran, surrender, I don't want to hurt you. His voice was so deep that it shook Alicia and Prim, while the other warriors shuddered at how serious it was. Celestine, don't worry, Prim is our guardian. Prim, oh okay, but could you make him bring Alicia down from upstairs? She said, a little scared for Beltran. Celestine, of course Prim. Beltran, you can lower it now, it won't do anything. Beltran understood. Then he releases Alicia, who, due to gravity, fell to the ground, although she let out a slight moan as she fell when Beltran untied her. That left Alicia a little blushed, while Prim was red seeing her behavior as well as her warriors, and the elves were surprised by that action, although Celestine was a little confused but recovered. Celestine, well, leaving that aside, I think we should talk about the premonition I had and the one your priest had. Prim, yes, I think it would be best. Alicia, I feel very embarrassed, she said, standing up and following Prim, while Beltran headed towards the forest under the gaze of everyone present. Prim, doesn't he live here? Celestine, not only does he protect the forest, but our people do not live here, but in the ancient ruins of the forest in the center near the Gords Mountains. Alicia, well, it's very strong. What kind of ancient creature is it? Celestine, he is an ENT, an ancient protector of nature. Our goddess brought him to help us in the coming storm. Although we need to do certain things so that he can protect us, we need to gather the other peoples so that he can evolve and be able to fulfill his duty. Prim, like the other towns. Celestine, I think I should explain everything in more detail, but it would be better to do it at my house. Then the three of them headed to Celestine's house to learn more about Beltran's story. While this was happening, Olga and her people were near the forest of Lothlórien heading to meet them, with only one more day of travel left to arrive. But from the mountain to the north you could see a dwarf girl going towards the forest as well, followed by a girl in ceremonial dress along with others who had somewhat revealing outfits. Lou, incredible, we are closer to the forest now. I want to see Celestine Wenchen back. I haven't seen her in a long time. Kagaya, calm down Lou, we'll meet her soon, just be patient. Mel, yes sister, Miss Kagaya is right. We will soon be able to see her again with her aunt. Lou, hug right, she will be there too. Mel, hey, Celestine's aunt isn't a bad person, she even helps us and petted us when she wanted to be with us. Lou, that's why I hate her, I don't like caresses. While they were both arguing, Kagaya watched them while laughing about it. Kagaya, after all, even though they are twins, they are very different in terms of personality. You're right, my friend, they are both very different, but they are still twins and they show it every day. Kagaya, yes, it's true, Kahaku. While a separate army was heading towards the forest from the west, led by a red-haired knight. Iris, we'll soon be arriving at the forest where Miss Alicia and Queen Prim are, so let's hurry. At that moment, a group of girls appeared behind her, nodding in agreement with what she said. Chapter 4. While Celestine was talking with Alicia and Prim, we see how outside the forest a magic circle appeared from which Seraphil and Issei came out, being followed by Rias and her entourage along with Sona and hers, along with Aika being one more member of her. Aika impersonates Saji, so she will not appear. Sona, sister, why do we appear here outside the forest and not at the entrance to the town? Seraphil, Sonatan, that's because without permission from the Queen of the White Elves no one can pass beyond here. That's why we are here waiting for one of her warriors to come and allow us to pass. Rias, that's idiotic, we are noble people, how can you not allow us to appear in the town? You should have more respect for us. Issei, calm down Rias, it's their custom towards strangers, so there's nothing we can do. Rias, but you should have a little consideration for us. At that point, they both continued talking about the subject. Sona, let's hope she doesn't behave like that when the queen comes, otherwise we won't be able to talk. Now I understand why you called me sister. Tsubaki, we should have assumed that it was for something like this that Seraphil-sama requested our presence as his guards. Seraphil, yes, it was to have help in case something happened to her and Sir Issei. At that point, everyone stops in front of the forest because of the wall of thorns that was there. Seraphal, and this wall? It wasn't here before, what happened? Sir Issei, it must have been some conflict important enough to raise it. At that moment, an arrow stuck in the ground between the two, alerting everyone, who turned their gaze towards the top of the wall, seeing some mythological beings, which pointed their bows at them. Golems, stop right there, stop or we'll open fire on the forest intruders. Seraphal, wait, we're here to speak with the Elven Queen about an important matter, we didn't come to cause trouble. Rias, what are you doing, Seraphal-sama? We must answer his warning in the same way, don't you see that he threatened us just like that? Sona, Rias, stay quiet and still. We're not in our territory, so we must be respectful. We didn't come here to cause problems or conflict, but rather to engage in a peaceful conversation. Besides, they may be cautious due to some previous matter. Sir Issei, you're right, Miss Sona, we must be careful since we don't know what happened before we came, so we must try to listen to her words. Rias, we don't have time for that, we're too busy with our own affairs. Seraphal, enough, Rias, behave yourself. You came only as an escort, so you'd better stop talking, he said in a whisper. We only came to engage in conversation with your queen regarding a matter of importance, so we wanted to request your presence, please. Golems, we understand, wait for confirmation from our leader before doing anything. Seraphal, we understand, we'll wait for a response. At that, the golems continued watching from the wall while one headed towards a tree through which it began to merge with it, disappearing from the place and appearing in front of Celestine and her guests who were surprised by that. Golems, Miss Celestine, I have a report to tell you. Celestine, what's going on? Golems, there are some demons outside the northern walls who want your presence for an important matter, they say. What shall we do? Celestine, I understand, I'll go see what they want. Please go and prepare an escort of my warriors to accompany me. Golems, understood. Celestine, Beltran knows about this. Golems, yes, my lady knows it, he sees everything we see, so he always knows what's going on. That information surprised Celestine and the others. It wasn't a simple matter. He could know everything that was happening in the forest and respond quickly if necessary. Celestine, I understand, you can withdraw and prepare my escort. At that point the golems disappear again in the same way, leaving the three women there preparing to head to the northern entrance of the forest. Some time later we can see how Celestine, along with Prim and Alicia, along with the groups of elves and some warriors from Prim to act as escorts, were in front of the north gate of the wall ready to speak with the unexpected guests. But with them we can see how Rias was causing a commotion by having to wait to be received, but before she continued complaining the door in the wall opened, showing Celestine and the others being followed by their escorts heading towards them. As they passed through the gates, a pair of golems fell from the walls behind them, marching alongside them as guardians of their mistress. In a moment they were standing before the guests. Celestine, hello Mouse, let me introduce myself. I am Celestine, the current queen of the forest elves of Lothlórien. What is the meaning of this unexpected visit from you to my domains? Sir Issei, well? Seraphal, good afternoon Queen Celestine, we came to speak with you because we wanted to request your permission to use your territory for a meeting with the other mythologies for a peace treaty and to form an alliance with it, and since your territory is a neutral one we wanted you to be the host for that meeting. Celestine, and why should I grant you that when you are the ones who tried to attack my town a little while ago? Sir Issei, wait, what are you trying to tell us? We didn't attack them at any point. Seraphal, Sir Issei, calm down. Queen Celestine, what does that mean if I may ask? Celestine, a few days ago a group of demons invaded the forest wanting to capture my people for their disgusting whims, so we had to respond to that, and our best warrior was the one who eliminated them before they did anything to my people. Sona, wait, Miss Celestine, we have nothing to do with that. It could have been some renegade group from our faction that came on their own. Seraphal, what my sister says is true, we did not order any expedition to their territory, so they must surely have been part of the group with which we want to make the alliance and the treaty. We know that it is made up of several renegades from different mythologies, we do not know what their intentions are. Only that they are not good in any way, and what they told us clarified that. Alicia, and why should we believe what they say? Maybe this supposed meeting is just so they can have their troops established in the territory for a future attack. Rias, who do you think you are, you simple human? We are noble beings, we don't play those tricks you say about. Sir Rias, that's enough. They don't know our way of life, so they're suspicious. Rias, but brother, I can't tolerate you saying that our people are into tricks to win over other races when we are beings of notorious strength, and even more so when a simple human says it. Alicia, oh, I'm sorry if I offended you, but your people were previously one of those who used to enslave my sisters for their dirty, filthy desires, so we don't trust your words. Prim, although we are peaceful, I cannot deny that, previously demons and other male races used to enslave our sisters to please their desires because we are only women in this place, so we do not trust you because of those ancient conflicts we went through. Seraphil, we understand that the previous management of our people was not the best, so it left an ugly relationship with you. But now we are in the leadership, so we changed many things and now we are different. So we wanted to ask you for that whim so you can see that we changed and that we want to redeem our previous actions with actions, and we hope you allow us to do it in your territory, please, he said, bowing his head, surprising his companions. I know it is not common for someone in my position to do this, but as a woman I know that the things you lived before were quite horrible things, so I understand them. That is why I ask you for this opportunity to show our most sincere apologies. Celestine, I don't know. We still don't trust you, so we can allow you to hold the meeting, but it being in this place outside the forest and the walls and not in the forest, is what I can most accept for now. Do you understand? Rias was about to protest, but Seraphil just spoke up. Seraphil, we understand and accept the offer to do it right here, although I would like it if you could prepare a place to do it comfortably if possible. Celestine, I understand and I assure you that I will prepare the place to receive you, so don't worry about that. At that moment, when Seraphil and Celestine were about to shake hands in a sign of acceptance, Rias intervened. Rias, how can you expect us to accept that? We're not barbarians who can do it in the wilderness like the cavemen you are. We're civilized, so I don't accept this. Sir Rias, stop it. Behave like someone mature and responsible. Rias, but brother, we can't let them denigrate us like this. I won't accept it. Sir enough, you will obey what I tell you since I am your leader, you understand, so this conversation is over. Excuse Celestine Sama for your behavior. Rias, I don't accept it. You think you can decide my life. First you want to force me to marry that stupid Reynare, and now you want me to keep quiet about this situation. I don't accept it. In that moment of fury she prepared an attack on Celestine, wanting to hurt them, which impacted everyone, so it was very sudden that they couldn't respond quickly. At that Celestine ducked like her companions, waiting for the attack, which before launching it a loud noise was heard from behind the wall which caught everyone's attention, and they saw how a tree flew out towards the front, falling between both groups, surprising everyone. That event made Rias vanish the attack by surprise, but in that the golems launched their arms towards her, wrapping around Rias, which caused her entourage to want to attack until both golems produced branches from their backs that covered them from the entourage's attacks. Both mouths seeing that wanted to stop them, until from the door one of the statues began to move as if it came to life and headed towards them, which stopped the conflict by speaking with its deep voice that shook those present. Beltran, stop now or you'll leave me no choice but to eliminate them. Then he looks at Celestine. Okay, Miss Celestine. Celestine, Beltran, thank you for the help, but please stay calm. Alicia, but calm down, she tried to attack you, let me get them out of here. Prim, Alicia, Celestine wants to form that alliance, remember what she was telling us about before, besides it was only that girl who attacked her, and she couldn't do it because of Beltran's guardian, so it was just a minor conflict, not Celestine. Celestine, she's right, even though she tried she couldn't do it, so it was just a minor problem. Beltran, can you let her go now please? I'm sure she won't do anything again, or not, she said, looking at the two mouths. Seraphil, excuse us Celestine, we will make sure this doesn't happen again. I hope you don't change your mind about this meeting. Celestine, don't worry, I know when someone is telling me the truth, and I know that you are not lying to me, so the treaty is still valid, so I will be waiting for you in a few days to do it. Seraphil, Thank you for this, Queen Celestine. I swear something like this will never happen again. At that, Beltran releases Rias, who was about to speak, until Seraphil sends her and her entourage back to the underworld and tells Issei that they will talk after this, proceeding to withdraw, although the dragon Gales was a little confused by the energy emanating from the larger golem. It seemed very familiar to him, but he could not decipher who it belonged to due to the state it was in. For their part, Celestine and the others headed back to the town, being escorted by Beltran, who suddenly, before entering, turned his gaze back as if he had felt something watching them from nowhere. Celestine, what's going on? Beltran, is something wrong? Beltran, it's nothing, miss, I just thought I felt something strange, but I don't know what it was. That's when they enter. As the doors close back in the distance, you could see how the ground moved irregularly, showing the back of a strange creature that buried itself back in the ground, which is what Beltran noticed out of the corner of his eye. While a little further away, it was seen how the group led by Iris Arcadia was heading towards the creature without noticing it, wanting to reach the forest where Queen Prim was waiting for it, so she did not know what she would face on her way. Chapter 5 Renaissance Part 1. In the underworld, minutes after the meeting with Queen Celestine, some circles appeared in the meeting room from where Seraphil and the others came out. At that, she turns to Issei and Rias. Seraphil, let's see, you stupid piece. Did you think about what would have happened if you had attacked the ELF leader in her territory? Or was it that so many pampering from your family made you laugh like that? Gremory, tell me. Issei, calm down, Seraphil. It was just a mistake on her part. I know she's sorry, so she'll be more careful from now on, right, Rias? Rias, I swear, I didn't know what I was doing. I was so blinded by my anger over my wedding that I didn't think about what I was doing there. Seraphil, if only apologizing could fix everything you did, we wouldn't be here right now. This isn't just about what's happening now, but it already started when, because of your anger, you're not fulfilling your duty in the human world. You even let a boy die because you weren't patrolling your area as you were asked to. Rias sighed. Issei, enough. Seraphil was just a small mistake. Seraphil, no, Issei, you spoil her too much. That's why I spoke with the other mouths, and we'll see what we do with her. I can't let this continue like this. If we see that she continues like this, we will take away her territory and bring her home to await your verdict. We will take away her high-class title. I'm sorry, but it's the only way for her to understand the gravity of her actions. Now I'm leaving to communicate what happened to the others. That left Rias, Issei and their entourage surprised. If they decided to strip her of her benefits, she would return to the family mansion. Issei, calm down, sister. I will fix this. I know you will hear me, he said, going to the other mouths. While Rias was shocked by what Seraphil said, as was her entourage, who consoled her. Some time later, 10 days after the meeting with Queen Celestine, we can see the Seraphil and Issei family, along with their sisters and their entourages, preparing to go to the place where the meeting with the other mythologies will take place. Sona, I don't believe they let them be the representatives after what happened that day. It's not logical. Seraphil, I know, but he asked them to go with me to show that she can behave properly. If she does something wrong, she will be stripped of her title, and neither she nor Issei will be able to object. Tsubaki, so it's a kind of test to see if she can change her way of being. Sona, that's what it seems, Tsubaki. I hope nothing bad happens today. At that, everyone teleported away from the place. Meanwhile, outside the wall of the Lothlórien forest were Celestine, Prim and Alicia, along with an escort of elves in stealth suit and warrior beasts in armor, followed by Beltran in his knight or sentinel mode, being human-sized. Who is ahead? Then he approaches an area a little far from the edge of the wall, and from his body he releases spores on the ground, where upon contact he causes vines and creepers to emerge from the ground, forming an altar where the meeting will take place. Since there was a river right near the wall, with the help of water he managed to make the area more natural for the environment, but that surprised all the women. Prim, I didn't know I could do that, and you, Celestine? Celestine, I didn't know that either. I don't know the extent of his power. She looks at Beltran. Beltran, what you did was some kind of magic or an ability of your species. Beltran, it's an ability of my species, but I don't know how I do it. I just follow my instincts and it happens, but when it's required I know how to use it. Celestine, That's strange. Do you have some past memory or something? Beltran, no queen. I don't know if I had any life before this one. I only know that I woke up for the goddess to fulfill her wish, and nothing more. Before anyone could ask anything else, a magic circle appeared in front of them from which Seraphol and the others came out, although when they saw Rias there was a deathly silence at seeing her which made the demons nervous. But then on the right and left sides more circles appeared from which the angels came out, being led by Michael and his sister Gabriel, along with an exorcist and the fallen being Azazel the leader, and as a companion to a cadre being this one Penemu and a serious albino boy. Both groups saw that the environment that was there was a serious one. But they were surprised to see Beltran there in front of Queen Celestine. But in that, Celestine, I see that the 3 parts of this meeting are already here. And as you can see, the place where the event will take place is ready, so please follow me to the room, please. She said, entering followed by the others, while Beltran walked by her side, although he had a certain negative feeling towards the fallen for which he did not know the reason for that. Already in the room of the place, everyone sat at the table with each of the different races on the 4 sides, although in the main part was Celestine next to Prim as the heads of the meeting, which bothered Sir Issei and Rias a little. Celestine. Well, now we will proceed to start this meeting between the 4 parties. Seraphol, what is the topic you want us to talk about among ourselves? Seraphol, well, Miss Celestine, this meeting is more about forming an alliance with the other factions. Azazel, whoa, wait a second, I know this is your territory, Queen Celestine, but what has to do with you, if I may ask? He said, pointing to Beltran, who was behind Celestine. Michael, I would also like to know what he is, since I don't remember there being a being with those characteristics in his kingdom. Celestine, well, I guess Beltran's presence is a little intimidating, but he's part of our people. He's a guardian sent by our goddess to keep us safe from the darkness of this world. Gabriel, but because we don't know anything about their species or race. Before Celestine spoke, Beltran answered. Beltran, our race was one that lived since the creation of this world. We were the first to have a goal, so we were one of the beings that shaped the life of this world. We Yentis were the ones who gave the earth what you know as nature. We were the ones who created the forests, grasslands, mountains, rivers and oceans of the world. In addition to protecting it in ancient times, but my species was disappearing little by little when we had finished our duty. But thanks to the goddess of the moon, I rose once again to fulfill my mission, because I am now guardian of these lands and its people. Penemu, impossible, the biblical God had been the one who created the world, not his species. You're lying. Beltran, tell me one thing, how was it that your God was able to create something if he could barely make humanoid life like you or humans? How could he create nature if the planet already existed in the past? How could he survive if there was nothing on it? Your God only copied what my species did and took it as his creation. Each natural element is protected by a guardian, these 7 natural elements being that make up what we call natural balance. Sona, but wait, like 7 if there are only 4 natural elements, these being fire, water, wind and earth? Beltran, those are the ones you know. There are also the elements wood, light and the last one darkness. Without all of them the world you know would not exist. Now like the elements there are only 7 beings of my species left in the world, each one guardian of a natural element. Celestine, wait Beltran, if there are only the same amount as the elements, and you count it as such, that means you are an elemental guardian too. Beltran, yes, I am the elemental guardian of wood, so I am tied to this forest and its inner life, that is why I protect you. You are the life that my element accepted. Azazel, this is impressive. If what you say is true, many things in this world would still be hidden from life, and you are one of the keys to those secrets. Michael, I can't believe our father has kept that secret from us all this time. Sir Issei, leaving aside his story, I think we should continue with what we came to do, right? Prim, I think he's right, we should continue with the meeting. I don't think our troops will feel comfortable in front of the others. Celestine, I think you're right, we've strayed a bit from the reason for this meeting. Azazel, well, since I suppose what you want is for us to be at peace, then let's make the treaty. Michael, you're taking this very lightly, Azazel. Azazel, that's not the reason you agreed to this meeting, Michael, so what else do you want? Seraphol, it was also made to talk about the group that is recently in motion among our people. Azazel, You'll have to talk about the group that is made up of different mythologies. I think I know what they were called, let's see. Valley, you're very annoying, say it already, Grandpa. But then everyone hears their troops shouting outside, so they quickly go out to see what was happening. Minutes before, we can see the troops outside the room watching the other groups seriously, although the fallen and demons mostly saw the group of warriors and elves, which bothered and displeased them, but then they saw in the distance something moving in a cloud of dust that was approaching. When that cloud was closer, they noticed that it was a group of women with dark skin and tall ears, being dark elves who were fleeing from a rock worm that was hunting them. That alerted all the soldiers, so they got into a defensive position and shouted to prepare to receive the attack. Then those present in the room came out to see the reason for that shout and saw the worm and the elves approaching, although Celestine, Prim and Alicia were shocked to see the dark elves there, but nobody could do anything since Beltran went out to the group of elves to save them from the creature, so he jumped high and transformed into his guardian form. Where before the worm could reach them, the callus in front of it stopped its advance while holding the head of the being. Beltran, go to the wall now, he said seriously, which scared the elves a little, but they decided to listen to him, so they went to the wall where the others were. At that point, Beltran, seeing that they were leaving, decided to use his strength to send the worm back, which worked, but he received a blow from the worm's tail that sent him back as well. However, he quickly recovered and went toward the worm, where the two collided again, starting a fight of strength. While that was happening, the dark elves were close to the others present, although Celestine and the others did not like to see them. But before they said anything, some golems approached them and escorted them to a secluded place by orders of Beltran. But in that, everyone hears how the ground cracked on the horizon, from which a crack was formed, from which troops of demonic beings led by some men. Fallen and demons being the race of the troops varied, but that is not all, but smaller versions of the worm with which Beltran was fighting were with them, giving them to understand that this was an attack from them towards the meeting. But in that, one of the soldiers stood in front of the army, being this the general, where everyone saw Kokabeel, the one who led those troops. Kokabeel, ha ha ha, what do I see here? Perhaps my invitation was delayed for certain reasons. Azazel, Kokabeel assumed that you had something to do with this, since you knew about the meeting you were against doing it, but to think that you would be one of the members of the Cow's Brigade to achieve it. Kokabeel, you're quite the idiot, Azazel. You don't have the balls to confront the other factions out of fear, so I decided to finish what started in the Great War, also taking advantage of the fact that this place is where my men decided to meet. They will enjoy the women of this kingdom as their reward. I can't wait to taste each one of those women who never had a man in their lives. The mere idea of being able to enjoy them makes me excited, just like my men, right? All the soldiers began to shout with excitement, thinking about the women's bodies. Alicia, I knew it wasn't a good idea to have this meeting with them. Azazel, calm down. Even though he's a cadre, he never thinks carefully about the things he does. He always lets himself be carried away by his emotions. Vala, can you take care of him, please? Valley, finally something interesting, he said, going to the front where he summons his celestial armor, surprising the others by that. Sir Shay, so the Fallen have the White Emperor in their ranks. This is worrying. Seraphal, things just got more dangerous. We must be careful with them. Sona, don't worry, sister. I have an ace up my sleeve too. Aika, you can do it. At that, Aika takes off her hood, revealing herself, while her arm was covered by a red gauntlet, which surprised everyone again, and formed a smile on Vala's face to see who his rival was, although he hoped he was at his level. Aika, okay Drag, let's show what we can do. Drag, okay, buddy, boost, boost, boost. At that, she launched her attack, starting the battle, which was followed by the demonic, fallen and angelic troops, where they launched themselves to protect their respective leaders as well as the retinues of Rias and Sona, although Rias was shocked because her friend had in her power the bearer of the Longinus of the Red Emperor. But in the distance, a group of women on horseback could be seen heading toward the place where everyone else was to help their companions in the fight. And nearby, we see Beltran trying to contain and defeat the rock-eating worm, which had appeared to defend his queen and companions from the enemy. At the same time, on the horizon, on the side of the mountain ranges, another enemy army appeared that was going to reinforce Kokabeel's troops, being commanded by a demon, this being Kateria Leviathan, but behind her, a giant rock being could be seen that had several purple tattoos on its body that looked very angry. Chapter 6 Renaissance 2. Beltran continued to exert force to try to knock down the rock worm, but it didn't make it easy for him. At that moment, the worm knocked Beltran down with its tail and threw itself on top of him, starting to bite him near his head while he held it by its jaws to avoid it. At that moment, he exerted more force and managed to get it off him with a kick to get up and go to the worm. While that was happening, near the wall were the soldiers of the factions fighting against Kokobel and his soldiers, while the elves and warriors were near the wall watching the black elves being attended to by Beltran's golems. But Celestine and Alicia were shocked to see their enemies there. Olga, well, it seems our meeting didn't go very peacefully, did it, Celestine? Celestine, I'm surprised to see you here, Olga. But what do you want by coming to my territory? Olga, I think you know very well the reason for my presence, and that of my people. Celestine was surprised by that. Apparently Olga knew what was coming in the future with them, but Alicia spoke. Alicia, your race is not welcome, Dark ELF. Do you think we forgot all our sisters that you murdered because of your lust for power? With that, he unsheathes his sword and points it at her, followed by her warriors. Today I will avenge them all. Chloe, don't think that I will let you threaten my queen without doing something human. At that, some dark elves stand in front of them drawing their weapons. Celestine and Prim were about to stop the fight until several vines came out of the ground and wrapped around the two groups, preventing them from doing anything to each other. Golems, Mr. Beltran said that no one would touch the dark elves while he was not present. They are under his protection by order of the moon goddess. Those words surprised everyone present. His goddess had asked him to protect the dark elves as well. He knew they would come, and his goddess was the one who gave him that order. But suddenly they came out of their thoughts when they heard something start to let out a scream of suffering which attracted all the attention of them and of the two sides that were fighting. So they saw the fight between Beltran and the rock-eating worm. Beltran was struggling with the worm again when suddenly he saw that he was losing, so in a risky move he released the worm, who charged him and managed to grab his back with its jaws. So without further ado, Beltran endures that, and with both arms surrounds the worm's neck and begins to exert pressure on it, trying to break its neck. The worm discovered his intention, so it exerted more pressure on its bite while trying to pierce its head with its tail, but from Beltran's back came out some thick vines that held his tail, so he couldn't do anything with it. Both did not give up. At any moment one had to give up, which would give him the opportunity to kill the other. Both exerted more force in their attacks, so without knowing the result they were willing to sacrifice something to defeat their prey. In that, Beltran in a last movement exerts more force, while from his arms black thorns came out that pierced the worm's throat, which made it give a loud screech, releasing its torso, which he took advantage of and managed to surround them with his two arms firmly, while the worm tried to get loose, so with a last effort he managed to break the neck of the colossal rock-eating worm. In that, Beltran releases the creature's body and looks around, seeing the enemies that remained, so without further ado he makes stakes come out of the ground that pierced most of the enemies, which surprised everyone by its power even though it was wounded. At that moment, more golems came out of the forest and began to eliminate the remaining enemy soldiers while Beltran looked at everything. He approached his queen to see her condition and that of his guests, but before he could get closer, he felt an energy similar to his own, so he looked at the horizon, confusing everyone until they saw that in that direction another army was approaching, led by a dark-skinned woman, who surprised them. But what surprised them most was seeing a kind of strange stone golems behind the army that came with them. But Beltran knew very well what that thing was. It was one of his Yenti brothers, the guardian of the limestone mines, the stone elemental. Kateria, I see you're in trouble, Kokobel. We told you to wait for reinforcements to be in play before attacking like crazy. At that moment, a barely conscious and injured Kokobel fell in front of her. Kateria, and I see that boy was too much for you. Kokobel, stop making fun of me and help me with him and the others. Kateria, Jujuju, I was hoping you would ask me. I waited a long time to take care of that impostor and his companions. Seraphal, Kateria, what you do with them? Kateria, oh look who's asking. Tell me, do you think you would let the person who stole your title be without suffering for it? Well, not in my case. I came because I want to get it back and I brought some ancestral help for it. Go and finish them all, my pet. She said, pointing to Seraphal and the others as well as Celestine as the golem headed towards them along with Kateria's troops. When the stone golem managed to make its way through the faction troops, It was close to Celestine and the other leaders who were launching attacks trying to stop it, but because of the hardness of its skin, they could do nothing to it. The golem, seeing that it was facing them, raised its arms above them trying to crush them all. When it lowered its arms to do it in front of them, Beltran appeared and stopped it by holding its arms, starting a fight of strength and endurance between both giants to see who was the best. Celestine, Beltran, thank you for saving us. Beltran, leave while I stop him. Take care of the two enemy leaders, I'll take care of him, he said while both exerted force against each other, but due to carelessness the stone golem manages to destabilize him, and therefore wins the fight of force between them, managing to lift Beltran and throw him forward, slamming him against the wall. When Beltran tried to get up, the golem charged at him, pinning him against the wall. The golem began to strike at him while he stood there. But Beltran managed to grab his hand, allowing him to escape with a shove. Beltran, brother, what's wrong with you? Don't you remember our duty in this world? Don't you remember our reason for existing? He spoke to the stone elemental who continued attacking him mercilessly. But in that he noticed that he wasn't conscious but something was using his body while ordering what he was doing, so he knew that he couldn't do anything for him right now. I see, something managed to control you, didn't it? I'm sorry, but I must fulfill my duty. I must finish you off before they manage to use your element without your restriction. I hope and you forgive me. At that point, Beltran charged at him, starting to throw punches left and right, which shook the place because of how violently they hit each other. But the stone elemental was stronger due to its element, so Beltran was losing in that exchange of blows, where because of that the stone elemental managed to give him a devastating blow where he managed to make a small opening in Beltran's chest, showing his inner core, so the elemental held that opening Beltran in the channel, who let out a roar, calling the attention of everyone in the place. That image of him being gutted made both the white and dark elves as well as the warriors horrified to see their protector in that state, which made both Celestine and Olga feel fear to see their salvation being killed right there. Kateria, ha 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 ha, that was his best guardian pet. It didn't last that long against mine, but don't worry since you will continue later, ha 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 ha. At that moment, the elemental was about to destroy Beltran's core to finish him off. But the core began to release green particles that formed a spiritual figure of him. Imagine you have Issei's figure. That surprised Celestine since he was still alive, but behind her was Aika, who upon seeing that figure managed to recognize him, so she was exalted and covered her mouth when she saw who it was. Aika, it can't be it's Drake, yes, she is his partner, even though she has that form. Her essence is the same as when she was in him before he died. That conversation caught the attention of Sona, who was next to her, and Celestine when he saw that she knew something about her guardian and that spectral form. The stone elemental tried to grab that spectral figure but couldn't, so the figure quickly made its body release vines holding each limb of the elemental, while completely restraining it. When it managed to retain it, the spectre approached the center of the elemental's chest and put its hand in it, causing its core to be exposed, which surprised everyone and exalted Kateria and Kokobel. Issei/Beltran, I see, so to have you at their mercy they tied your core to a forbidden wound so you couldn't escape their hands. But now you will no longer be a slave, from this moment on I will continue with your burdens, so rest brother, go with our mother. At that Issei makes the core begin to disintegrate while he was holding it, which made the elemental roar, but with one movement he destroyed it, causing the elemental to remain static while what was left of it became a gray sphere that entered Issei's spectrum, fusing with it. But in his mind he heard a "Thank you brother for giving me peace," before completely assimilating the stone element in his core. Thanks to that, a whirlpool of ivy and stones formed around the two bodies, which lit up in green and gray while a great power was felt from within it, which exalted everyone for what that must be. When the whirlpool dissipated, a single elemental could be seen, although it had parts of both. Its core was Beltran's, which told them that it was him who was in that body. Celestine, Beltran, it's you, right? Issei/Beltran, yes miss, but I am also another person, but it is not time for that now, I will explain later, now I must take care of them. he said, looking at the enemy army while giving a huge stomp that made the ground where they were sink, burying some of them while others escaped flying, but Issei foresaw it, so vines hurt from the ground that held those who were flying, and Issei pointed one of his arms at them, releasing a shower of stone bullets on them, eliminating them, leaving everyone surprised by that. When she finished off most of the enemies, Kateria saw that as a sign to flee, so she disappeared from the scene, taking what was still unconscious Kokabeel with her. Meanwhile, in the distance, horses galloping could be heard, indicating that another group was approaching, which made the factions go on alert, but Alicia stopped them before they could do so. "Alicia, our sisters have finally arrived, Prim. Look, they are our people," she said, pointing to the group of women on horseback. "Prim, I see, so they managed to come after all. Can I let them enter Celestine to your kingdom?" "Celestine? I don't know, that's Beltran's decision, not mine. He's the one who controls this forest." "Issei/Beltran, you can enter. The goddess told me that you would be in this forest in the future, so my duty is to take care of you from now on, just like the Dark Elves." It surprised Celestine and Prim, but they left that topic for later due to the visitors from the factions. "Seraphal, I'm sorry, Queen Celestine, this is all our fault, due to old problems of our people." "Celestine, don't worry, no one expected this attack, so it's not their fault. But for now we should postpone the meeting until things calm down a bit." "Michael, well, I think that would be the wisest thing to do." All the leaders agreed to this, but when they were about to leave, Aika spoke up and turned to Beltran. "Aika, wait, is it you, Issei?" she said in front of Beltran, which confused everyone. "Please tell me if it's you, that figure from before was identical to him. Tell me if you are Issei, please." "Celestine, what's happening to her? Why does Issei say to Beltran?" "Sona, I don't know, Queen, what are you talking about, Aika? Why do you call him Issei?" "Aika, the figure in that spectral form was of a very important person who died recently, but I don't know if he is that person." "Sir Shay, I don't think it's him, miss, he's an ancient being." "Aika, yes, it must be that I was confused." "Drake, calm down, friend, now I no longer feel his essence, it must have been my imagination, maybe forgive me for disappointing you." "Tsubaki, come on Aika, let's go home to rest." As the two girls left, Aika couldn't continue because a vine grabbed her ankle, so she looked back, seeing Beltran, who was crying. He quickly hugged her subtly, losing his colossal size. But upon feeling that hug, Aika couldn't do anything but accept it out of pure instinct. "Azazel, what's wrong with him?" "Celestine, I don't know, he's never done that before." "Goddess Intel, I can explain what's going on." At that the elves kneeled before her. "Celestine, goddess, that is what happens." Chapter 7. Previously on Issei, guardian of the New World. "Azazel, what's wrong with him?" "Celestine, I don't know, he's never done that before." "Goddess Intel, I can explain what's going on." "Let's see what happens now with Issei and the others." "Celestine, Goddess Intel, what's happening because she's here?" "Intel, I came because I felt my guardian came into contact with one of his brothers, but from what I see things got out of control with him." "Celestine, but what's happening to Beltran? He's been like this ever since he consumed it." "Intel, that's what I came to explain. Apparently I need to confirm something before telling you what's happening with him." At that she goes like this, Beltran/Issei under the gaze of everyone, and raises her hand in her direction. Instinctively Issei kneels in front of her while showing his core that was changed since there were two colors in it, being green and gray. That image surprised everyone, but Aika, seeing that, thought she was about to eliminate him, so she unconsciously entered Balance Breaker to attack her, which was seen by everyone who was about to intervene, but before she did, Intel stopped her using her power, making them all stay still. "Aika, stay away from him, I won't let you delete him," she said, feeling very angry for her. "Sona, Aika, stop, she is a goddess, you can't do anything to her." "Aika, I have Drake with me, and with him I can kill her if she dares hurt him." "Intel, indeed, with it you could kill me, but to do so you must be completely in sync with his power, which you have not yet achieved, girl, but your anger towards me is totally wrong." "I do not intend to do anything to my guardian, I just want to see what is in his soul, since when it was fused with the other guardian's soul, A new and more powerful one was formed, so it is possible that his inner soul has awakened there," she said calmly while she continued with her back turned, analyzing the guardian's core. That last thing aroused everyone's curiosity since they didn't know what it meant, but Aika saw that Beltran/Issei was fine while the goddess analyzed him, so she calmed down by leaving her balance, becoming a little tired as it was the first time she tried to use it unconscious. "Celestine, what do you mean, goddess inner soul?" she said confused. "Intel. Guardians are just bodies made by the elements so they can move in this plane. They need a source of life to keep their spirit in those bodies. That's why we use people's souls to wake them up from their slumber." "Michael, wait, that should be impossible. We guide each soul to its destiny. How can you use a soul without us knowing?" "Intel. I don't use souls that you guide, but rather souls that wander between life and death, those that have no destiny even though they have died, so they are destined to disappear into nothingness itself. That's where I get the souls for my guardians." "Azazel, that's surprising. I understood that no one could bring a soul from that place." "Intel. As I said, it's strange that there are souls in that place, but that very day there was one that was about to be completely erased, so I used it to lift Beltran up. Apparently, that soul still retained a bit of its consciousness, so right now his consciousness is slowly being restored thanks to the fact that he gained more strength by absorbing the power of the Rock Guardian." "Aika, so the soul inside him is Issei's," she said happily, thinking that she would see him again. But the Gremry group was worried because if that was true they would know that he died that day because of the constant fact that his mistress did not want to save him. "Intel, it could be a girl. I really don't know what soul I took that day, but I can find out right now," he said, casting an enchantment, while Beltran's body changed before everyone's eyes, including Celestine and the other elves as well as Prim and her warriors. Beltran, despite his body being made of parts of nature, his face was totally human, which surprised everyone, but even more so a girl who, without caring about anything, went up to him and hugged him under the incredulous gaze of everyone. "Aika Issei, it's really you, I knew it, I knew you couldn't die like that," she said, crying while holding him in her arms. "Sona, wait, is it?" "Tsubaki, it seems so. It seems that boy had another chance after what happened to him." "Celestine, what happened to Beltran? Why does he look like this now?" "Intel, apparently that is the appearance of the soul that resides within the Guardian's core, who would say that it was a young man who died too soon." "Gabriel, wait, how is it possible that he is her source of life if I remember seeing his name in the records of deceased souls a long time ago, and according to you, you removed him from limbo?" "Michael, this could be due to some effect of the system not working at 100% maybe. I should go take a look while I'm leaving. I have to confirm something. When I have news I'll let you know. Come on brothers, we have to work." "Intel, thank you for that, Leader of Heaven. I await news on this matter." "Michael, consider it as an apology for having brought a battle to your domains. Without further ado, I'll leave. See you later," he said, leaving the place with his brothers and his remaining soldiers. "Azazel, well, I think we'll leave too. We'll try to find out something about the group that attacked us. I hope the peace treaty remains in place later on." "Serge, don't worry, Azazel is still standing. When we're calmer, we'll plan a new meeting to discuss it more calmly." "Azazel, perfect. Well, see you," he said, leaving the place with the others. "Valley, strengthen your Aika so that in our next encounter we can fight as it is written in our destinies." "Aika, right now your stupid fight is irrelevant to me, so get out of here already, Goddess Intel, because Issei isn't moving or showing any sign of being alive." "Intel, that's because it's only a small part of your soul, so your consciousness isn't awake yet." Aika didn't like that, so she started sobbing while hugging Issei's new body. "Alicia, but how is it that your figure was formed right now and not before when I was here with you?" "Celestine, I don't know, Goddess, do you know something about this?" "Intel, it's possibly because he absorbed the other Guardian's core, which caused his residual soul to grow stronger enough for him to react and show himself to us." "Seraphil, Goddess Intel, we can stay with you for now while you figure out what's happening with the boy and his guardian." Intel was thinking about the request seriously since he did not want outsiders from his kingdom to enter his domains, but seeing the eyes of the girl Aika, who did not separate herself from the boy who was occupying the body of her guardian, he accepted it but with one condition. Intel, it's okay, you can enter, but only women, men cannot pass, and if you cause anything inside the city, I will expel you immediately, regardless of what happened, do you understand? Sir Issei was going to complain, as was Rias, but one look from Seraphil was enough to keep them both quiet. Seraphil, we understand, Goddess Intel. There will only be 7 of us waiting while the 2 men leave to inform the other Mahus of what happened. Sona, sister, do you think you'll stay too? Seraphil, obviously Sona, I'm interested in that young man and the relationship he has in all of this. Besides, he's the boy who died because of Rias, right? Sona, yes, sister is him, but what about your homework? Seraphil, don't worry, I'll be your emissary for internal and external affairs, so don't worry. Rias, Akeno and Kaneko looked at both girls calmly, although it bothered them that their brother was not accepted with his knight. Sir Issei, well then I'm leaving to prepare the reports of what happened, he said, leaving with Kiba. Aika, thank you for allowing me to be with Celestine and Goddess Intel. Celestine, I see that your concern is genuine, that's why my goddess allowed it. Prim, I think we should go since we are very unprotected right now, and we must also treat our soldiers and guests. Intel, you're right, Celestine goes and talks to Olga and sees an agreement between both sides. You know the motive and reason for that, so I'm waiting for good news while I go see what happened for the Rock Guardian to be controlled in that way. Celestine, understood goddess, I'll do it right away. They all headed to the city of the elves while each of the women saw Issei, who only followed them silently without showing emotions or any gesture. Meanwhile, we see how in a dead forest where only corpses were seen, a dark being was sitting watching everything that happened with the sphere. I see that controlling that guardian was not enough to stop the other, it only strengthened him more, but it doesn't matter, he fulfilled part of his mission, now we just have to wait for him to be ready and a new ancient being will be born with it, and I will have in my hands the force of true creation as it should have been a long time ago. He said as he looked towards a place where there was a huge structure in which many creatures could be seen building a kind of, which made the subject smile at that. Many things were happening and the ropes of fate were moving towards those future events that would mark a new beginning in the world, but now we just have to wait and see what causes those events while our chestnut tree slowly recovers and forms a new being alongside his soul and that of the guardian. Chapter 8. The girls were walking towards the village while Issei/Beltran followed them behind in a monotonous manner, still being held by Aika, who never left him. Prim, Celestine is sure that he is following us. I mean, I know that he is your guardian, but that does not mean that he is still in that masculine form. As I remember, your people fear men and their appearance could make them very scared. Celestine, I know, but I don't know if he can return to his guardian form. Besides, he is under the order of our goddess. But I understand what you're saying, let him try and see if he can return to his previous form. At that she turns under the gaze of the others and begins to walk towards Issei/Beltran, but when she was about to speak she saw how Aika looked at her, which everyone saw that she was tense and ready to attack her if she did something against him. Celestine, calm down girl, my goddess told you that he is our guardian, so you have no reason to be like this. I just want him to return to his previous form to avoid scaring my people since they fear men, and right now he has a form that could cause chaos if he were to enter the village. Aika, but he wouldn't do anything, he's not under her control, so why would it represent a problem for her to maintain her true form? She said, half annoyed because they wanted her to return to her previous form. She was afraid that if she did, she would lose him again. Seraphil, Aika, I know you care about him, but remember that now he is by her side, and she is the one who decides what happens, okay? Aika, but I... Celestine, don't worry, nothing will happen, only his form will return to its previous form, he will still be himself even though I didn't speak to him, so stay calm so that they don't attack him when they see him out of fear. When I can, I will make everyone see him in that form so that they know, so you can be with him while you are in the town. Yes. Aika, okay, I understand. Celestine, okay, Beltran, you can revert to your previous form for now until I get everything sorted out. Issei/Beltran, yes, ma'am. In that everyone sees how he begins to enter back into his guardian form, although Aika was a little upset about it, but she knew the reasons were just. Celestine, Thank you, now let's continue, we're almost there. A while later they all arrived at the entrance of the town where the elves were happy to see their queen, although after seeing the guests they became a little worried, which calmed down when they saw their guardian behind them all, although they were confused by the fact that one of the foreigners was hugging his head as if he were a koala. Guardian Elf 1, my lady is well. Celestine, don't worry, I'm fine thanks to Beltran. Also, don't worry about our guests. The goddess gave them permission to come, so don't be afraid, okay? Guardian Elf 2, understood, miss. Celestine, also, you can gather the whole town in the plaza. I have an important announcement to give you about our goddess and our guests. Besides, it all has to do with Beltran. Guardian Elf 1, understood, don't worry, we'll gather them together right away. Celestine, I also want you to go to the cells and prepare everything to speak with the leader of the Dark Elves and her people. I need you to prepare all the warriors in case something happens and tell them to wait. When I finish with the audience, I will go with Beltran there. Guardian Elf 2, right away, my lady. Celestine, okay, everything is ready. Please accompany me to my home so I can introduce you to my people and avoid any problems. Also, Beltran prepares the door. We'll need it if what I have planned happens. Beltran/Issei, yes, my lady, I will go right now, but first. From his arms came some vines that joined the city wall, and from them came the soldiers of the forest that were in his power, 2 of these who knelt in front of Celestine, surprising the others by that. I have already prepared your escort while I fulfill my mission. They will protect you in my absence in case something happens. With your permission I will leave. When he was about to enter the vegetation of the wall to transport himself to where the portal door is, Aika did not get off it, preventing him from continuing with his order. Celestine, Miss Aika, could you please let him go, otherwise he can't leave like that. Aika, I won't leave him again, I don't want to lose him after I found him again. Sona, Aika please stop, he won't leave, he's just doing his job and will be here until we get to the treaty so you can be with him after he finishes his job. So let him do his duty, and after that I'm sure Celestine-sama will allow you to be with him again. Celestine, if I promise, after this is all over you can stay by his side until we need him for something, I swear on my name, and that of my people, along with our goddess. Aika, it's okay, but I won't leave his side after this. Celestine, I know, and first we need to introduce them to my people so you can be by their side in the village without bothering my people. Remember that we barely have any socialization with other races, so strangers are very feared by them, so until I introduce them, it's not a good idea for them to just go around. Aika, I understand, I'll leave it for now until you do that. Celestine, thank you for that, really. Aika, no, I'm grateful that he allows me to stay by his side after all, he is someone very important to me after all. Drake's sad face, and boy is it. It's not for nothing that you have a lot of his things in your room, including his underwear, although I'm surprised I don't know how you got it because when I was in it I never noticed your presence in his house. Aika, shut up Drake or I'll get inside and shut you up. Drag sad face. Do it and I'll show all your classmates what you do with that garment. Respect me brat, I'm a dragon and I know how to treat you even though I'm here without my power. While both had a debate/fight in their heads, they all proceeded to head to the center of the plaza for the audience, while the human warriors were outside the city waiting for Celestine to give them permission to settle in her town. Alicia, Iris, I'm glad you could arrive at this moment. We would have been almost overwhelmed by them if it weren't for you. Iris, calm down, Captain. We said we would arrive on the 3rd day of your departure while we brought everyone. I was also surprised to see the enemy army and the Dark Elf there too, and what can I say about Miss Celestine-sama's guardian? Prim, yes, we were also surprised to see him upon our arrival, and even more so to know that he has the soul of a young man inside him. Eleonora, wait, like that being has the soul of a boy, that's unforgivable. Men are vile creatures who only want to satisfy their carnal desires, they can't be trusted. Alicia, Eleonora, calm down, that boy despite being that is a being that surpasses our strength. Besides, the goddess Intel was the one who gave him the opportunity to be the core of the guardian. We don't know anything about him, but in the group of demons that came there's a girl who apparently knows him. When we will talk to her to know what the boy was like before saying anything. Remember that not all men are like that, and if it weren't for him right now both Prim and I would have been used by all those men just like Celestine and her people. But before she could answer, everyone heard someone speaking behind her. Astrid, hey, that sounds interesting, an ancient being with the soul of a simple human, tell me how that is, she said, taking a drag on her pipe. Alicia, I'm not surprised you asked that, coming from the craziest magician of all, Astrid. Astrid, Fufufu, it was obvious. Alicia, I find it interesting how a being can use the soul of a mortal to be able to move freely. After all, it is what I tried to create with my studies, since I am the court magician of Queen Prim, so our people would not have to face enemies. Prim, the only thing we know is that her goddess was the one who brought her soul to her guardian. Only she and Celestine know the rest, but when we see her I'll try to see if she can talk to you about it, Astrid, but I don't think they'll allow it to be known how she did it. Astrid, Fufufu, that's no problem, I can study that guardian if you don't tell me anything. Alicia, I don't suggest you try it, the girl who knows him is very possessive of him, she even almost attacked the goddess when she approached him, fearing that she would eliminate him, besides being the bearer of the Welsh dragon, so be careful when you do it. Astrid, interesting, an ancient being with a human soul and a demon carrying a great dragon, that interests me even more. Prim, I think you made it even worse. Alicia, hee. In the town central square. Celestine, people of Fírien, I know that you find it confusing that I have this meeting after what happened, but our goddess gave us an important task. We must be ready for what is coming. Today in the meeting I had Tio forged the peace and alliance treaty was attacked by enemy forces wanting Tio subject us to their wishes, she said, scaring her people because of that. But thanks to our brave guardian they couldn't make it come true, but that will not be their last attempt. That is why the goddess entrusted me to gather all the races of the continent, so that we can face this enemy. I know that between us and some of the other races the relationship is not good. Even today the warriors of the neighboring human kingdom joined us in this fight as allies. Right now their people are outside our walls waiting for us to welcome them. I know that some do not like the idea of this, but if we do not do it, my vision showed me that because of this all of us will fall before the enemy without any doubt. Even the dark elves are right now here in the village in the cells. That surprised and worried everyone. But right now they are under control. That is why I asked that all the matriarchs and leaders of the ELF clans of my village gather to chat about the mission that our goddess gave me for the future and our prosperous life. All the elves calmed down while the matriarchs of all the clans nodded at that. Also today our dear guardian Beltran suffered a small incident for defending us. Thanks to that we discovered that he carries the soul of a young man, but that doesn't change what he is to us. I know that it terrifies you to know that he carries the soul of those who were once our worst enemies, but our goddess was the one who brought him to our side, so do not doubt him. Despite being those barbarians, he is our protector and defender, so please I do not want you to see him in any other way. Remember everything he did for us during the time he was with the people. Also, if it was not for him right now I would be with you. Also that the goddess gave permission to some foreigners for us to form bonds with them. Please come and let my people meet you. In that Sona, Rias and their entourages along with Seraphil go up to the podium, earning the murmurs and glances of all the elves. Calm down, I know what they are, but you don't have to fear them. It was our goddess who invited you, trusting in them, so please I want you to be courteous to them during their stay here. I want you to show them that our people are noble people. I hope you can do that. Please, you can continue with your thing until I finish talking to you, your clan leaders, and tell them what we talk about at the meeting. At that everyone leaves while Celestine and the others retreated to her house to talk and wait for the matriarchs of the clans, while on the other hand we see Beltran/Issei in front of the portal ready for use, waiting for the order of his mistress. And in the cells we see the dark elf people treating their people who suffered injuries in the raid they had during their arrival. But just outside the wall, Beltran's soldiers were targeting unexpected guests who had arrived while they were reporting to their leader to see what was happening. What had happened for Celestine to have all this set up? I don't know, but considering how fortified it is and the traces of fighting there are around here, it wasn't a good thing. I hope it's okay. Don't worry, when those beings give us passage we will see her, so I'm sure she's fine if she has all of them guarding the border of her forest. I find those log soldiers funny. I want to play with them. Control yourself, sister. First we see how the others are, and then we have fun with them if they allow us. Hump. Chapter 9. Beltran was re-entering the town because one of his soldiers warned him of some unexpected guests outside its walls, so he was going to inform his queen about this. While that was happening, we could see Celestine meeting with the matriarchs of the clans in the meeting room to discuss the matter that the goddess entrusted to Celestine. Celestine, well, I'm glad to know that all the leaders of each clan were able to attend this unexpected meeting. Thank you for attending, she said while bowing. Lucy Menelinia, you must not bow down, Celestine-sama. You were the one who gave us a home when we were wandering through this dangerous world, so you should not be grateful, she said while giving a signal to what she said being imitated by the other 4 matriarchs. Nal Yukoso, what the matriarch of the Menelinia clan said is true, Miss Celestine. We are more than ready for any request of yours. Everyone here owes you that after all. Celestine, thank you, Miss Lucy and Nal, but getting to the point, it's about the vision I had a few days ago and the prophecy of the goddess Intel about her. Misery Stentrem, and what's the problem if you've already told us about that before? She said, confused by the topic already seen. Celestine, there are some things related to that I did not get to comment on due to the circumstances of those days regarding our people, but with the sudden call for peace from the demons, and the arrival of Prim and her warriors like Olga and her people made me understand that I must tell everyone what the appearance of Beltran and its relation to my vision had truly referred to. Fire's Hagerhelm, and what is the topic that you didn't mention to us that time, and what does it imply in these events that you speak about? Celestine, apparently there was a certain issue that neither the goddess Intel nor I expected regarding how to do this, and with the recent battle that took place on the outskirts of our territory made us understand the seriousness of things. The enemy was in the position of one of Beltran's brothers, she said seriously, astonishing the 5 matriarchs. Apparently the awakening of Beltran managed to bring certain ancient things that were not expected, such as the resurgence of his own. Even if they were only the ancients, there is no doubt that this implies even more than our safety. Now knowing this, we must not only protect ourselves but also manage to protect Beltran as the last guardian of the world while he is at the front. That is why the goddess had told me to try to unite the other races and thus strengthen their power. He is still a young guardian, although thanks to the fact that he absorbed the soul of the one who was at the hands of the enemy, he was able to in a certain way grow, although what led to that was unexpected. Seraphina Lenatus, and that led to this sudden growth when Celestine happened. Celestine, I don't know how to explain it, it's a bit complicated. Apparently, the sole use for him by the goddess was that of a young male mortal who died suddenly. That only strained the atmosphere in the room. I know it's the soul of one of the beings we hate the most, but… Seraphina, but what, Celestine, do you mean that since he's been here we've been in danger with him? You said in the middle of the plaza that only his appearance was what changed, but now you say that the soul of one of the things we fear and hate the most is what is ruling our dear guardian. What kind of joke is this, Celestine, because you didn't warn us before? We were practically living with a being that at any moment could have attacked us because of his desires. Nal, calm down, Seraphina. Remember that it was the goddess who told her what to do, not herself, so you must assume that all this is because she decided so. Fies. But having a man here among us, that is outside our imposed laws, Miss Nal, this is a serious incident on your part. Lucy, but that was under the supervision of the same goddess who gave that rule, so she didn't do anything wrong. Seraphina, that's out of the question. What he did is against our rules. Intel, but I was the one who brought him and told him to let Celestine, my daughter, in, so it was nothing against my orders. They all stood up and knelt before their goddess, although Seraphina couldn't believe what she said. Intel, I already knew about her soul when I brought her, and as she said, all this was under my supervision because I could see that if we did not let him help us, his defeat was assured. Only he can protect her freedom from the clutches of other men, but only if you can help him and give him the strength to do so. For that you must accept him not only among yourselves but also in your heart. Everything he can do will be governed by your wishes, so if you trust in him, he will do it in you while he stays by your side guarding your health with all of himself. They all listened to what their goddess was saying. Some had quite clear ideas about this while others were still reluctant but knew that if she said it, it was true. Intel, now Celestine, you can bring the Dark Elf Queen, the Warrior Queen, and our guests together who are waiting for permission to enter the outskirts. This should be something everyone needs to hear before things start happening. Celestine, guests outside? Intel, if what Beltran will tell us now is not towards my guardian, he said, seeing how Beltran appeared from the wall. Beltran, as my goddess says, there are guests outside the forest wall who ask for your permission. Among them I count 2 races, the Fox Girls of the East and the Dvergr, and their people. Intel, let Beltran/Issei enter and escort them to the sanctuary, while the others please go there too so I can inform you of everything that happens. Celestine, please bring Olga and her guardian Chloe too. They should also know that, and I must ask them certain things in addition to our guests, since it seems some of them know the past of the boy I used as a soul for Beltran. Celestine, understood goddess, we'll do it right away. At that moment everyone went to the sanctuary while Beltran went to greet the guests. With the DXD group. All the girls were in a large room waiting for Celestine to finish her meeting, while Sona and Seraphil tried to find out a little about what had been happening to Aika since the news about Issei/Beltran became known. Sona, Aika, seriously, did Drake tell you that he was Issei? Aika, yes Sona, even without him we all saw when his figure appeared after he absorbed the other. Seraphil, which surprises me in fact, since from what is known all the souls that possess sacred gear at the moment of death pass through heaven no matter what, and that now this as an ancient being is quite difficult to believe. Aika, I know it's Issei, I don't need more proof to confirm it, and as I said even Drake confirmed it for me. Tsubaki, you know what this means, right? She said, drawing the attention of the 3. If he really is Issei, that means that Rias's problem is even more serious. Sona, you're right, not only is he not dead but now he can testify in case he remembers everything. According to what Drake told you, she appeared but decided not to save him at that moment, and if Issei corroborates that, her situation will be even more serious. Seraphil, that is if Circe does not intervene, but since he is now on the side of the elves I don't think he can do anything about it. Aika, I just want him back with me, I'm not the only one who misses him. What will his parents say when they find out he's still alive? Or at least that his soul isn't, although it hurts me that he doesn't show emotions or his old personality. Sona, I think it's the best. Aika, remember what Celestine said, her people hate men, and if she still had that personality we probably wouldn't even have been able to see her, so you should be grateful for that. Aika, but I just want him back with us, I don't want to lose him again. Sona, I know Aika, but you have to see what he is now. He is no longer from our world now, he belongs to them. Chapter 10. Bertrand was walking towards the forest sanctuary, being followed by the guests who arrived recently. During the whole way not even the 4 invited leaders said a word. The 2 dwarves were desperate due to the tranquility and silence of the enormous tree man who was in front of them, while the 2 remaining girls were only curious about the strong divine presence that was inside the ent. Mel, hey tree man, how long until we get to the place? I'm bored. Lou, that's it. It's so boring to be walking alone, can't you have a little fight with us to relieve our boredom maybe? Kagaya, and now we're back on track. Kahaku, this won't end well, you know that, right? Kagaya, I know it well. Bertrand stopped his walk and turned around slowly, which worried the 2 girls about what he might do to the 2 dwarves at his side. Beltran, no, Goddess Intel and Celestine are waiting for us right now in the center of my sanctuary. There's no time to waste on unnecessary activities, so hurry up, we won't be there much longer. Without further ado, he continued ahead despite the tantrums of both dwarves, which calmed the other 2 for not having accepted the demands of those 2. Kagaya, at least he's someone firm and responsible. Kahaku, it was to be expected, their species is guardian by nature, so they do not see the need for certain actions or acts outside of their design as relevant. At least they were kind enough to let our troops in and direct them to a small place to camp. Kagaya, your soldiers are very strange, they show no signs of being alive, they look more like dolls than natural beings, right? Kahaku, we'll find out when we get there with the others. We can ask if necessary after talking about the reason why everyone is coming to this forest. Forest Sanctuary, Bertrand's birthplace. We can see Celestine with the matriarchs of her people's clans accompanied by the demons, Princess Prim and Alicia, while Queen Olga is accompanied by her 3 best warriors, being Delva Celebrian, Miseria Stentrem and Belada Elda. They were all in the middle of the sanctuary, which is completely restored thanks to Beltran and his power. They were sitting at a huge round table where each of them took a place next to their people as if it were a group meeting. And at the top of what would be the round table was the goddess Intel sitting waiting for her guardian, and the rest of the guests who were to arrive, while the others were talking to each other like Celestine and Prim, although even Aika joined their talk next to Sona and Seraphal since they wanted to know more about what Issei was experiencing. During his time as guardian, Olga and her people as well as Rias and her entourage were on the sidelines because their reputation with the others was not very good for various reasons. They all stopped when Bertrand entered the entrance of the sanctuary accompanied by 4 girls that most of them knew and a couple of their warriors just in case. Bertrand, I already brought them goddess intel. If you allow me, I will go to verify the security of the wall in case there is another attempt at attack without your permission. Bertrand went to one of the walls that had vegetation and joined him, disappearing from the place, although as soon as he left behind the goddess, a pair of tree soldiers positioned themselves at his side for safety. The dwarves, seeing that, were surprised, as at the same time they were annoyed since he could have brought them earlier if he had a method of that style to travel quickly, although it also encouraged them to want to fight with him even more than before. Mel, Celestine, after this talk or meeting, can we have a duel with the wooden giant? Lou, yes, it is very interesting and looks strong. Both showed their desire to duel because they were smiling happily, although before Celestine could respond to this, the goddess stepped forward. Goddess Intel, when we finish what we have to do, I will ask him if he can have a little confrontation against you, but for now let's focus on our own, and if you behave I will let you fight him even if it's just once using his recent stone form, okay? I warn you that in that form he is very powerful and his defense is enormous. Both dwarves nodded vigorously as they proceeded to sit in their places under the gaze of the others, including Kagaya, who was surprised that she could tame them so easily with her wishes. Intel, okay, now that we're all gathered, let's introduce ourselves and our affiliations to form a bond before we talk about what's really important right now. Celestine, well, as many know, my name is Celestine and I am the current queen of the White Elves and maiden of the goddess Intel. Next to me I have 2 of my most loyal advisors and matriarchs of their clans, Miss Null of the Alfheim clan and Miss Lucy of the Mean Limia clan. Prim, good afternoon. I am the future Queen Prim of the Kingdom of Warriors. Listen, next to me is my right hand and cousin Alicia Artira's current captain of the army, along with Iris Arcadia, her most trusted commander. To her right is our most powerful magician of the magical court, Astrid Flammel, and our cleric and maid of the goddess of wisdom, Alie, Miss Eleonora Clemenson. The others saw how Olga and her people stood up to introduce themselves, although the dwarves looked at them seriously because their relationship was not very good, as well as the 2 priests who accompanied them, but if the goddess Intel allowed them to be there, they could not do anything. Olga, well, let me introduce myself. I am Olga Discordia, monarch of the Dark Elves and maiden of the goddess of Discord Letni. At my side are my greatest warriors, Delva Celebrian, my commander-in-chief, Miseria Stentrem, my best conjurer, and the current captain, Belada Elda. Mel, well, since the dark hitch is over, it's our turn. We are the Melial sisters. I am Mel and she is my twin. Lou, I am Lulu, like her I am her twin sister, and together we are the Melial trio of the southern regions in the Sarisquire Iron Hills, where our father is currently on the throne. Even after starting their presentation by insulting someone, many of those present had to say that even though that was the case, they were both very small, they even looked like children. Mel, or I forgot, even though we look like this, we are older women. We are currently the most desired women of our people, so do not think that we are little girls, or else my axe will teach you otherwise. Lou, if you don't underestimate us, you'll regret it dearly. That ended up giving them the touch, making them think they were very lively and creepy, although Seraphal was excited because both of them would be perfect for them to help them in their Magic Girls series due to their appearance and lively personality. Kagaya, well, let me introduce myself. I am Kagaya Satyria. I am the Maiden of the Moon and current leader of the Eastern Empire. At my side is my best friend and advisor Kahaku Alasteria, current speaker of the Eastern Fox clan and guardian of my sanctuary and life. This unsettled Seraphal because the Fox people were extinct on his plane. As far as he understood, the only survivors are the current Yokai Queen and her daughter, the only ones discovered so far from the Shinto pantheon. Sona, sister, it's our turn, don't stand there watching them, answer properly. Seraphil was brought out of her thoughts by her sister, who nudged her back to reality. Seraphil, excuse me, I am Seraphil Leviathan, current Mahu bearer of the title Leviathan of the demonic race. Next to me are two heirs of the Citri and Gremry families, being Sona Citri and Rias Gremry, along with their retinues of maids. Nice to meet you all. Seraphil made a small greeting while Sona and her entourage lowered their heads in response to the presentation. Although Rias's entourage imitated them, Rias herself did not accept to lower her head before those present, being seen out of the corner of her eye by Seraphil, taking note of this for the future. Olga, oh, representatives of the demons, aren't you? Tell me what you're doing in these lands. According to what I know, you were forbidden to set foot on this plane by our gods due to your previous actions against us. Eleonora, although I don't like that you were the one who said it because of our enmity, Olga, it's nothing but having the filthy demonic scum who subjected our people to their dominion just to have fun with our bodies here present. They shouldn't be here, they are not welcome. Quickly the atmosphere became a little hostile because of her words, being Seraphil who understood why, so she was willing to explain the changes that had occurred with her people and the previous government to calm them down, but everyone became alarmed when a demonic power began to be felt in the place coming from the Gremry heiress, who did not tolerate the words of contempt towards them from them. Quickly the atmosphere became hostile because everyone was on guard since Rias was releasing her power. But just before she thought about attacking or speaking, behind her from the wall several vines came out that wrapped her up as well as her entourage instantly, while the others also suffered the same, regardless of the fact that the only ones free were Celestine, the goddess Intel, Prim, and Seraphil. The others who began to show intentions to fight were quickly suppressed by the same vines, while the two Intel guards stood in front in case something happened. Bertrand came out of the wall that was behind the demons, and while holding the vines, so being in front of Rias, he lifted her as if she were a sack while her vines began to surround her, forming a cocoon around her, alerting her entourage along with the aforementioned for that reason, as well as Sona, who thought about the repercussions that her death would have. Seraphil, please wait, Goddess Intel, please excuse my people's outburst. We did not intend to cause trouble. It just got out of control because they were insulting us for the actions of the previous bed of rulers. Please free them, and I will clear all of this up while I make sure it doesn't happen again. Intel, Bertrand, let them go. It wasn't entirely their fault. They were coerced by the words of Olga and Eleonora. But make sure you are by their side in case something like this happens again, and take the necessary measures. Seraphil, this is the last chance. Don't let it happen again. I already allowed it before when he attacked my maid, so this time it wasn't expressly his fault, but I won't allow these outbursts on his part anymore. As long as both Olga and Eleonora watch their words, while they are in my domains, neither of them has a decision on who I allow or not to be in them. Remember that. You are outside the domain of your gods now. Listen to their current situation before you start arguing. Act like people in charge and not like little children. The aforementioned only calmed down and nodded, being freed from the guardian's vines while the others were being freed in the same way. Although surprised by the force with which they were imprisoned, Bertrand was more powerful than they imagined. While Bertrand himself was releasing Rias in her place under the gaze of the same one who was about to start ranting about it, only to be stopped by the gaze of Seraphil and Sona to keep quiet, which she obeyed because she was in their sights for what she did previously. Bertrand, I will be present, goddess, in case something identical happens. I will send a group of my soldiers to watch the surroundings of the wall and the forest while I assure you of your safety and that of your people. He quickly approached her and positioned himself behind her as he grew in size to be able to defend her better if necessary. This exasperated the others a little because that form was wilder and taller. Mel, hey you giant, tell me how strong you are. Your vines were too tough to cut, not even with our strength could we do anything to it. Bertrand just remained silent, watching everyone present, ready for anything. Intel. He won't answer unless I give him permission. He obeys my orders and those of my people only, so if you want to ask him something or know about him, it's better that you asked me and Celestine. Intel, why that question? Kagaya. When she suppressed us, the strength of her vines was far superior to any containment method I know, and her essence is in a way divine, or rather, pseudo-divine. That surprised most, even Celestine, because she didn't know anything about it, while the demons were amazed, especially Aika and Sona, who knew her previous life, although the one who was most upset was the human magician. Astrid, wait, like he carries a kind of diluted divinity. Also tell me how it is that he possesses the soul of a human man, and how it is that he was able to synchronize with the body of an ancient ENT. How is it possible if he wants to move again on his own strength? She quickly began to float, approaching Bertrand himself, who did not act because he showed no signs of causing havoc, although the others were surprised because she stuck to his face like a koala while she continued to throw questions and conjectures with her face blushed embarrassing prim, and her friends for that. But although everyone was surprised by that, they suddenly heard a growl, being Aika who was doing it, while Sona saw that her eyes turned into those of a dragon because she was very jealous, and was about to stop her when suddenly she spread her wings and went towards Astrid, facing her. Aika, get away from him, you damn wretch, he's mine. Issei belongs only to me. Release him from your dirty hands right now, or I will be the one to do it. Astrid, ho, so you know his previous human life, right? Perfect, then tell me, who was he? How did he leave your world? His previous name is Issei? Are you that big, Issei? Tell me, do you think you could accompany me to study you more deeply? I want to reveal your entire interior and study it deeply. She just ignored Aika's anger, starting to ask again, although due to the tone and her blush Aika took it as if she was proposing to do indecent acts with him. Everyone saw how a red aura began to emanate from her at that moment, although there was no reaction from Bertrand, which confused everyone, even Intel. But when they saw her summon her gauntlet, Seraphil was about to act, only to be stopped when she saw how a ghostly green hand came out of Bertrand's chest, stopping Aika's blow to Astrid, who was petrified to see the specter of a hand. Aika was exalted by that, but was quickly attracted by that hand to the guardian's chest, where the figure of Issei came out, showing his torso and face while hugging Aika, who calmed down and began to cry, seeing how the specter of Issei was looking at her with his characteristic smile. Chapter 11. Everyone was speechless because of that. Intel was surprised to see the specter of the human soul that she used on Bertrand to wake him up. Sona and Rias were incredulous to see him again, although this time the reason was because he showed reactions as if he remembered his previous life, unlike the first time he showed himself. Aika, for her part, continued to cry inconsolably over his specter. She didn't care about anything else but being in his arms at that moment. Aika, Issei, I miss you so much, Issei Waea. Aika could only continue crying on him, hugged without letting go under the gaze of those present. Instead, Issei only continued caressing her hair while looking at her, smiling. Then he turned his gaze and saw the other members of the room who were looking at them just to smile at them. After a few seconds, he slowly separates Aika from her spectrum and dries her tears while looking at her warmly. Aika could only see him dry her face with his fingers while he continued to stare at her. Aika, Issei. Issei just gave her that smile that she knew so well about him again. But before anyone could say anything or Aika could speak, his specter began to fade away under her gaze. Aika became afraid when she saw him leave, so she tried to hold him, only for him to push her away with a soft look. Aika, Issei, please don't leave, stay with me. Don't leave me alone again, please. Issei, I love you. And to everyone's surprise, Issei kissed Aika on her lips in his ghostly form, stopping everything she was planning to say. Aika was surprised by how sudden it was, but still accepted his kiss while shedding tears again. Seraphil, okay, I think this is a little awkward, isn't it? Sona, sister, please behave. Aika truly loved him before he died. It's obvious that she expected this more than anyone, so please don't ruin the moment with your comments, and stay quiet. The scene left many surprised, although Celestine and Intel were stupefied by it. Both thought that Bertrand was not one to feel these human emotions. But again, they did not take into account that in his core lived the soul of a young man, which seems to strongly influence the guardian's body. Although they could not deny that the scene was moving, they had to find out more about this if the vision of his future depended on him. For his part, Issei gently released Aika's lips as they looked at each other just to smile and nod. Aika just looked at him sadly because the kiss managed to connect his soul with hers, and thanks to that bond she was able to communicate with him briefly, just for him to tell her some things and why she should enter her artificial body again for the moment. Aika, I understand, Issei, but promise me that if we manage to do that, you will come back to my side when we get it, okay? Issei just nodded as he began to enter Bertrand's body. Aika accepted him and began to descend from her body as soon as Issei finally managed to get inside his shell. As soon as he touched the ground, Bertrand came back to himself. staring at her fixedly only to link his right arm and gently caress her on the head. When they both left that, they were quickly surrounded by the other members of the room. Sona, Aika, are you okay? What did he say to you? Aika, he communicated with me, Sona. When he kissed me, he passed his consciousness to my mind to tell me some things about him and his future. Seraphil, what things? Aika, he told me the way to return his original body, to bring him back to life. That confused all the listeners. He talked about bringing a part of the body back to life and giving it a new flesh body. Intel was stupefied by that. How could he communicate with her without her knowing anything about it? After all, she was the one who put the soul of that young man in the body of her guardian to wake him up. Intel, what did he specifically tell you to get your body back, miss? Aika, he told me that to do that he would need to fix the guardian's original core so that he could release his soul, which is the one replacing it. To do that, he needs the souls of the 7 guardians to merge them into one and fully awaken the consciousness of Beltran's base soul. Celestine, that's why he couldn't speak in his humanoid form before. But then if what you say is true, how is it that he's not talking to us right now if he's inside of him? Aika, Issei only keeps the guardian's core awake, so when it's not inside him is when he can talk to us, and for that same reason is that when he shows himself there are no signs of Beltran being conscious. Intel, I understand. As long as he is inside Beltran's core it will work because he keeps it active, which is why he needs the other souls of the guardians to fully reactivate his consciousness, and thus be able to free himself from it. It would also clarify why Beltran does not have his old memories when I asked him for his name or history as soon as I woke him up. Aika, he also told me that it is possible to disconnect for a while because thanks to Beltran absorbing the other guardian's core when he attacked him, he was able to free a part of his consciousness and materialize for a few seconds outside. That's why when he kisses me he creates a kind of link with me to tell me all this and give me this information. Intel, I understand, so our goal would be to find and merge the remaining 5 guardian cores with Beltran, and thus create the ultimate core that will stop the evil that looms over my people and those of this world. Olga, wait. So to prevent that vision from happening we must help that human get the rest of the cores so he can defend us. Is this a joke, right? Celestine, Olga the goddess of Intel wouldn't joke about this destiny, if she says it's true. No, so what? We find the rest of the cores and rebuild them just to free ourselves from the fate that awaits us, and in the process free that human male? Intel, that's right, no, that's what we must do if we want to avoid that tragic end at the hands of evil. Tsubaki, sorry, but could you explain a little about that? We don't know what you're talking about. Delva, this is none of your business, filthy demons, so don't interrupt my lady and the rest's conversation. This wasn't taken very well by the demons, but before they started again Beltran made a movement alerting them only to see Intel stop him with his hand and look at them. Intel, this concerns all of us present, Dark Lady. We are all involved in this, and without them, we won't know what to do. Only that girl who knows that young human can communicate with him, so we can't do anything without them understanding. In this situation, we are all united by diverse objectives that complement each other, so I don't want problems between us due to differences from the past, Miss Aika, right? What else did he say to you when you were talking? Aika, he said that they should look for the rest of the cores and free them from their prison as he did with the Earth Guardian, for that we must go to the other elemental temples where the guardians reside. Prim, but should we do it ourselves or should we help him? I remember Celestine had said that he couldn't just leave his territory like that. Aika, Issei told me that when he absorbed the Earth Guardian core it took over his domain so he can leave the domain of these lands thanks to that, but he also warned me that he was too weak to do it alone so he will need our help to achieve it. After all, the rest of the guardians have all the power of their domain, and the advantage of being in it when we look for them. Alicia, Miss Aika, is it possible that he can communicate with us as well so we can avoid having you as our spokesperson all the time? Aika, don't you even think about interesting him? You hear I'm the only one who can talk to him. This outburst on his part shocked everyone because he lost control. Sona, Aika, calm down, what's wrong with you? Aika, I'm sorry, Issei told me that he can communicate with me because he kissed me. Apparently in order to communicate with him he needs physical contact with the part that wants to communicate with him, and when she told me that I thought she wanted to kiss him and I lost my temper. Drake materialized on her arm, exalting everyone and talking about what happened recently with Aika. Drake, that happened, partner, due in part to my fault. Aika, what are you talking about, Drake? Drake, what happens is that because I belong to the dragons, all my carriers obtain certain characteristics of my race such as pride, greed, and above all jealousy. Sona, and what does that influence what just happened? Drake, Demon Girl has a lot of influence. My race is very jealous when it comes to one's partner. Aika basically entered a stage of my race that marks her partner, and is extremely possessive with respect to other women who get too close to him. You could see it when that magician hugged Issei, and as soon as the human girl opened up about trying to communicate without knowing that to do so she would need contact with him. Aika exploded in jealousy because of that, and acted that way because of the changes that occurred when I was with her, mainly because she is in the adolescent stage where all races are completely proactive hormonal beings, so the outburst of jealousy that she had was much greater. Aika, so thanks to you I can become a psychopath with the women who approach Issei. Thanks Drake for that. Drake, don't throw your dirt on me, all this is on your account. After all, I don't force you to do anything, I only influence your personality. That you are crazy enough to kill other rivals who are looking for your man is not my fault, and even less that every night you are masturbating thinking about him in a psychopathic way while you dream big. That is already your twisted personality. All. Drake's words left the place in total silence. Aika just blushed heavily as she tried to hide, but the surprised looks from the others were killing her. Drake. I think I got a little carried away, right? Kaneko, Eki. Akeno, this is not the time for that, Kaneko. Chapter 12. Heaven System Room. Michael was sitting trying to figure out where the chestnut-haired boy's soul went in the reincarnation system. After apparently spending a good couple of days trying to locate it, he was finally able to find it, or at least the remnants of it. Michael, this is... At that moment Gabriel was entering and noticed that his brother was surprised seeing something in the system. Gabriel, Michael, what's going on? Michael, the soul of the young man who is inside the ant. I was finally able to find it, but it is not what I expected to find. Gabriel, what's happening to your soul? Michael, apparently he entered his own reincarnation cycle. At the moment the system marked him as deceased, apparently his soul began to fragment into several pieces during his stay in it, which led to one of those fragments being put on hold, or as the goddess Intel said, in limbo. Gabriel was excited by that. A soul that fragments on its own is nothing seen until now by them. They didn't even know that such a thing was possible. Gabriel, so that means the young soul fragment in the end is? Michael, if Gabriel is, it seems he was able to accomplish something impossible to do without Father. With Celestine and the others. After that embarrassing scene that they all lived, each one sat at the table to continue discussing the prophecy of Beltran, although there were only the leaders of each part being Olga, Celestine, Intel, Prim, Kaigaya, Lu and Seraphil, while the others were touring the sanctuary followed by Beltran at Aika's request and by order of Intel. Sona, Aika, I know you're happy that Issei is communicating with you and everything, but don't you think being so close to Beltran's body is too much? Sona had her reasons for saying that. After all, right now Aika was on Beltran's shoulders as they toured the entire sanctuary. And what can I say? About Aika, she was still a little angry with Astrid for what happened before. The others only looked at her because of this, because Beltran himself didn't say anything about it. Nah, leave her alone. I don't think the big guy will mind after all. He's been like this since we left the meeting and he didn't say anything about it. Sabaki, excuse me, miss? Nah, oh sorry, I didn't tell you my name in the room. Let me introduce myself. I'm Nord Nal Alfheim, current head of the Alfheim clan. But you can just call me Nal if you want. Tsubaki, I understand, Miss Nal. I would like to ask you a little about your way of living in this place, if I may. I noticed that many of your people were reluctant to our visit or that of the others. Nal, what happens, girl, is that after everything our people lived through during the era of wars, it left scars within each of the inhabitants. They are not memories that are easy to forget even after so many years. But now that the goddess brought us Beltran, each one of us feels safer after all. He is a beacon in our lives. Akeno, does your presence give you that much security? Lucy, not only his presence, miss, he himself ensures our well-being, he even always lends us a hand if we need it. Since his arrival he has been taking care of not only the forest and the people, he has also been cleaning and rebuilding places in the town that were not in the best conditions. He is a friendly hand that is always willing to answer our requests. Each and every one of the inhabitants of this forest knows it well, and that is why he is so loved by them. Eleonora, even though he knows he carries a piece of a human man's soul? No, even so, Miss Eleonora, no one in the village feels fear or insecurity in your presence. Eleonora, but he is a man. Virus, that doesn't change anything. After all, it was our goddess who introduced him to us, so I don't think she'll do anything wrong if she brought him to our village. Delva, you are too naive. You put your safety in the hands of that thing that carries the soul of those despicable beings. At some point its true intentions will come to light, and you will see it. In that instant you will know your mistake in blindly trusting it. Lucy, he's shown us with his actions that he won't do that. Miss Dark, he's here for our safety, and I can say that I have complete confidence in him to keep me and the town safe. Elda, I want to see how long they last against us. If you really trust in their strength, I don't think will be a problem for them, right? Ha ha ha. Mel, I'm in. I want to face him. Kahaku, I didn't get rid of one and now the other found one just like it to replace it. Alicia, you say that, Miss Dark Elf, but when we were at the meeting you didn't see yourself capable of escaping from her vines like the others, or am I wrong? Those comments left the place silent, while Delva just whispered because she couldn't fight in front of Beltran's presence at her side. After that they all continued exploring while they marveled at the strange flora and fauna that was in the surroundings of the sanctuary. Everything was new, and for the majority who did not know the exotic land of the elves, Aika remained stuck to Beltran's head while Astrid looked from below trying to analyze the guardian with her eyes, although that led to having the odd dispute with Aika herself when she caught her doing it. But suddenly they all saw how Beltran stopped and turned his head to the north where the main door and previous place of the fight was. He quickly lowered Aika from his shoulders, and under the astonished and bewildered gaze of all he disappeared into a leafy wall of ivy next to him. Iris, what's wrong? No, it seems someone is outside the wall. He usually does that when his log soldiers see a person outside his defenses asking to enter or when an attack occurs. We must return to the center and warn them of this. They may already know it from Beltran, but it is better to check it out. Meanwhile, we see how Beltran was on the walls of the forest watching the guests who were outside at that moment, waiting for confirmation from his goddess to see what he would do with them. Beltran, the goddess has granted her permission. You may come in. I will take you before her and the other guests. Gabriel, thank you, guardian of the forest. Griselda, please, I don't want to have problems inside. I know that right now there is a group of demons that is present in that meeting, so I ask that you control your maids in case something happens. I don't want to have problems, okay? Griselda, I understand, my lady. Irena, Zenobia, I don't want you to cause problems, do you understand? This is a neutral territory, so violent acts are not allowed under any circumstances, do you understand? Both, yes, we understood, Miss Griselda and Lady Gabriel. With that said, the 4 members of Heaven entered, being escorted by Beltran, who took them in front of the others in the center of the sanctuary. Although Gabriel looked very closely at the giant due to the information he had about him from his brother Michael and his strange nature. For their part, Griselda and the 2 priests were on guard due to Beltran's aura and his imposing figure, in addition to not having knowledge about his species, which basically gave them no idea of the abilities he possesses or his strength itself. In the center, the girls who were previously with Beltran had finally arrived, and as Nala assumed, Celestine and the others were aware of the events on the north wall, so they sat down to wait for their guests, and for Beltran to find out the reason for his sudden visit to their lands. Seraphil, how was your tour around the place? Sona, I won't lie to you, sister, but the local flora and fauna are exotic and very beautiful. There were even mini wyverns around the areas, and there were servants of a considerable size roaming around here. It was very quiet and peaceful. Seraphil, I also want to see a giant servant, Sona-chan. Sona, sister, behave yourself. We are surrounded by important people, so stop that childish attitude. Later, we can ask you to go on another tour. Chapter 13. Celestine and the others were sitting in the living room waiting for the guests that Beltran was escorting, while they listened to Seraphal's complaints to his sister to tell him everything she saw in the forest on her tour with the guardian and the others. The atmosphere was calm due to her antics, which helped the other representatives of the other races rethink their point of view on demons again, but they had to leave it for later because the door was opened by Beltran himself, who was escorting the 4 guests of the angelic faction. Intel, I see our guests arrived safely under the escort of our dear guardian. Gabriel, Goddess Intel, it's a pleasure to see you again. While Gabriel was introducing his companions, Beltran went to Intel and Celestine's side while Aika herself was once again on top of him like a koala, which caught the attention of the 4 sent from heaven. Celestine, so Lady Gabriel, what is the reason for your visit? Gabriel, it's because we discovered why Issei's soul wasn't fully sent to heaven's reincarnation system. That fact surprised those present, although one person didn't take it very well, to say the least. Irina, sorry, Miss Gabriel, I think I misheard the name of the person who said he entered the reincarnation system. Gabriel, why do you say that, Irina? Irina, well, Issei was a childhood acquaintance of mine. He was a friend of my family along with his parents. We may not have spoken for a while, but I don't think he's dead. Gabriel, oh. Irina, Issei can't be dead. He can't be Miss Gabriel. I think you got the wrong name for that. Griselda, Irina. Irina, it can't be true? Zenobia, Irina, calm down. Irina, how do you expect me to calm down if they're saying that my childhood friend is dead? I swore that when I returned with him we would get married. I swore it to God, Zenobia. Gabriel, Irina, calm down. I know this hurts, but... Irina, no, I refuse to believe it. Aika, it's true, Issei died, I can confirm it. Irina, and what are you going to know about him? Aika, I was his classmate since high school. I know very well what happened to him. He died. I was the first to go in front of his parents and give them my condolences. Do you think I would lie to you about something like that? He died. He died because of the stupid redhead girl there who left him bleed to death on the floor when a fall passed him. Aika released everything she knew, pointing at Rias, who froze in place. Sona and Seraphil were in shock because they did not know that Rias was present when they killed Issei. They only knew that he died because she was not fulfilling her duty in her mouth. Instead, Irina looked at the aforementioned and her personality changed drastically. Everyone saw how she took a sword out of her hand that was previously a bracelet and charged in front of her, trying to cut her in half. Gabriel, Griselda and Zenobia were exalted by that as well as the others, but they all calmed down when vines came out of the walls, stopping Irina centimeters from Rias, who was about to act because of that. But Seraphil held her shoulder, looking at her seriously, as did Sona. Irina, let me go. Let me kill this hitch who let my friend die. I'll make her pay for that waya. Under everyone's gaze, they saw how Irina broke down in tears. She cried as if her world was destroyed in seconds. Aika understood her since she did the same thing the day she found out what happened to Issei. Intel was about to talk about Beltran and her relationship with Issei, but she saw how Beltran himself brought her down from the air and approached her. The others also noticed that and looked closely, although Aika began to fear what might happen. Under the gaze of the others, Beltran took her and put her in front of his chest where his core was. Irina, Irina felt a hand dry her tears, so she looked up, seeing Issei or his specter, becoming confused. Issei just smiled at her as he continued drying her tears and made a gesture that only she knew. Irina, Issei. And to everyone's surprise and Aika's anger, she hugged Issei without thinking, while he caressed her head while smiling. The scene was moving for those who knew the brown-haired boy's current situation, which was not for Griselda and Zenobia, who looked at this scene confused and strange. Aika, well, I think that's enough. Sona, Aika. Aika, but... Sona. Aika, okay, I'll let it go. Irina, Issei, how come you how? Everyone saw how she, despite recognizing it, did not know what was happening or what she should think about what was happening, although without waiting Intel spoke, clearing up her doubts. Intel, it's him. I used a fragment of his soul to raise my guardian, Miss Irina. For a few days now we have been able to contact the soul of Issei Hayadu and learn about what is happening thanks to the help of Miss Aika, who is his vocal. Irina quickly looked at Aika, hoping she would say something related to Issei. Aika, it's okay. Just before they came I managed to find a way to communicate Issei's thoughts. Right now I have a spiritual connection with him because we joined our souls. Gabriel, oh, and how did they do that? Aika. Sona, Aika, tell them. Aika, okay, it was through a kiss. He kissed me and formed a connection with me. It happened when I panicked because I thought they would take him away from me and because a fox was very close to him. Astrid. Aika just stuck her tongue out at Astrid while standing next to Sona, who shook her head at her behavior. Gabriel was surprised that he could create a connection with other souls, although thinking about it, given his situation, it was acceptable. But without anyone saying anything, Irina, having heard what Aika said about the connection with Issei and how to do it, kissed Issei in front of everyone, exalting everyone because Aika began to release her frenzied aura again, although they did not expect it to be stopped by Issei himself, who raised his hand stopping her. Aika, Issei. Sona, calm down, Aika. Remember that she is an acquaintance of his from childhood. It is obvious that this would happen. Irina stopped kissing Issei a few minutes later because she was talking to him mentally during the kiss, although several women in the place were embarrassed because she spent a long time kissing him. For their part, her companions were the same. Gabriel, although she was not very well versed in the subject of consummated love. Griselda, despite having had her moments, was still embarrassed because it had been a long time since she saw these moments, and Zenobia did not know what to say. This was because she had no knowledge about love. There was only her duty to God and the church, so she did not understand these things. Irina, I understand. I'm glad to know you're not dead, Issei. I'll try to help you recover your physical body at all costs. I won't let you leave my side. Aika, hey, I arrived first. Respect the line. He will be my partner. Irina, and who do you think you are to say that? Remember, I'm her childhood friend. You're just a classmate. Aika, and I remind you that being his childhood friend you abandoned him. If it weren't for me he wouldn't have anyone. I kept him company from high school until now, so leave it. Astrid, I can join them too. I want to form a bond with him in the same way. Aika/Irina, don't you even think about it, you wretchless hitch. While they were discussing intel, she spoke with the others and with Gabriel about what information she had about Issei. Intel. And what do you know about the case of Issei? Hired Lady Gabriel. Gabriel. Yes, apparently Michael managed to find his soul in the system, but apparently when he died he somehow fragmented his soul into several parts, 8 specifically. Intel. In 8. Wait, aren't those 7 guardians Beltran said existed before? So the other guardians. Gabriel. Exactly, it seems that they possessed the remaining fragments of their soul. That is why when they devoured the other's soul on the day of the attack, their soul began to take shape and be able to communicate. Seraphil. But there are 7 and you said 8, is one more missing? Gabriel. No, he's now joined to the Guardian. Apparently Haida's soul is special. Sona, why do you say that? Gabriel. What I'm going to tell you will be confidential. Apparently that last piece of soul underwent some transformation and joined the piece of soul that is with Beltran. Intel. What? How is that? It must have joined the fragment itself and recreated a part of its body. Gabriel. Not exactly, it seems that piece had some significant change that led to it becoming a living sacred gear. That information surprised everyone who knew about the sacred gear and its origin at the hands of the biblical god. Chapter 14. Those who knew the meaning of what Gabriel said were surprised, while those who had no idea about it were confused by the reactions of others. Seraphil. But that is impossible. No one apart from him has been able to recreate a sacred gear, much less turn himself into one. How is that possible? Gabriel. I don't know how such a thing is possible, but he was the only case to do that, so even my brothers don't know what to do about this information. Uriel wanted to take him to study it carefully in heaven, but Intel. I wouldn't allow it. After all, Beltran is part of the town, so we wouldn't let you take him for study even if we ended up on bad terms with you. He's from here now and that's how it will be. Gabriel. As we assumed, you wouldn't allow it. But beyond that, we don't know how or why that happened to him, and from what they said he mentioned, he doesn't even have any idea about it, so his case is exceptional. Prim. But you said the rest of her soul fragments split into several places, right? Besides, those places are the bodies of the other elementals too, so we can assume there might be some clue in the rest of her soul fragments, right? Gabriel, that would be the thought, but we have no idea if that is the case or not, and we also have no idea where the other parts are to collect them. Celestine, I don't think they can do it anyway. Beltran said it. Each elemental is in its temple at the peak of its element, so it wouldn't be easy for them to reach them without his guidance. Intel. And above all, remember that he plans to collect your souls to fix himself, so I don't think he'll let you get even one of his souls for your study if he doesn't want it that way. Gabriel, we were counting on that situation, so we thought we'd help him recover the rest of the souls while Griselda and I studied it along the way. Do you think so? Celestine, you should consult with Miss Gabriel about that. After all, he's the one you should be studying anyway. Olga, are you really going to let it be that the only way for us to save ourselves is simply by being with them? I don't think you should allow that. After all, he's the one who will save us from being enslaved by his people. Olga pointed to Seraphil, who, although not happy about it, could not blame her for anything because of what her people had gone through in the past. Intel. Miss Discord, remember that he is thinking and has a bond with both a member of the demons and one of the church, so if you want to oppose him you should do it in front of him. After all, he is the one who decides according to you, right? Olga. Intel, that's what I thought. If we accept the help of the demons and angels, then in return they should help us in our mission to strengthen Beltran with the rest of the souls. Do you agree, Angel Gabriel, Mahus Seraphil? Both of them just nodded, being seen by all the leaders present. But quickly the serious atmosphere was abandoned because Aika and Irina started fighting again, while Zenobia and Sona tried to separate them. Aika, you've tired me, drillhead, stay away from Issei, he's my future partner. Irina, you should be the one to leave. After all, I was the one who promised Tio marry the first one, you're just the wretch trying to steal him from me. Aika, so then tell me you know all his tastes, his fetishes and that, you don't know anything about him. Everything you know is a thing from the past, and Issei has changed a lot in these years. You don't know anything about him. Irina, I know everything about him. After all, I was his first and only childhood friend. To be with him. Unlikely you were just his classmate. I know his tastes in food, his hobbies and what he likes since we were children. And you also think that just because you know his tastes in the Hexual field, he is yours. That is learned over time. You only know his Hexual preferences and nothing else. Aika, so I know many things that you don't. I know how long his hick is. I know exactly its length and size. I know how long he usually lasts before humming. I also know all the tastes he has for positions in bed. I also know that he likes to be dominant, while his partner is submissive. I know everything about him. I know every fantasy that he wants to fulfill with his wife. I even know how his clothes rub after his morning release. So, what do you know about him, he? Sona. Irina. Tsubaki. Zenobia. The others. The entire classroom fell silent, staring speechlessly at Aika. Even Beltran, who hadn't shown any interest before, turned in her direction. Aika, upon understanding what he said, covered her mouth while blushing bright red from his little revelation about what he knew about Issei, although that didn't change the fact that everyone was wondering how he knew that. Drake, I told you I was crazy enough to steal his underwear without him noticing, but wow, that's really sick, mate. I didn't expect you to take your love to those crazy levels. Sona, more than madness, I would say extreme harassment. Not even I thought I would meet someone like that, and on top of that he is part of my nobility, no more and no less. Aika, I think we have to talk about this. Irina, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know whether to feel sick or jealous that you knew that. Eleonora, I really wonder how he reached those levels of madness and that no one noticed it before, not even the mythological dragon on his arm. Drake, I ask myself that every second of my damned imprisoned existence. Miss Priest, I really do. Olga, do you still think about accepting her help, Goddess Intel? Intel. Celestine, I don't know what to say right now. Gabriel, well, it's not that bad after all. What she does is a form of love, right? Griselda, a very bizarre way if you allow me, Miss Gabriel. I just hope Irina doesn't develop an obsession of that magnitude as well. Alicia, What I hope is that it doesn't spread to everything else. Lulu, even my green giant friend doesn't know what to say, and he never reacted that way before even if we were going to fight. Kagaya, even ancient beings are interested in that. Chapter 15. After Aika finished embarrassing herself in front of everyone Intel and the rest left the room to head to the Beltran sanctuary deep in the forest, when they got there everyone saw how the said sanctuary was fully restored. The view was glorious thanks to the lush vegetation that adorned the sanctuary and the animals that resided in it. Beltran only began to walk towards the center of what would be the citadel of the sanctuary, being imitated by the others. In the process they were all impressed by the ancient architecture of the place. Although the most excited was Seraphil due to her personality, so Sona could only try to contain her from going to touch everything she saw interesting. Their walk stopped when they reached what was an ancient wooden pedestal the size of Beltran in his guardian mode. Intel, this is where I woke you up, isn't it, Beltran? Beltran, that's right, my lady, this is where I slept until you summoned me. When you left, I restored the area next to the portal to travel from here to the town. Olga, wait, you're saying there was a portal that brought us directly here and you just made us walk the whole way? Intel, Olga, the portal is only allowed by the residents of the town in case of emergency. This sanctuary is an emergency citadel to house the white elves in case they attack the main town, and we could not defend it, and above all, so that they could use it, they need to make a pact with Beltran so that they can use it when necessary. Olga, so why don't we make the pact since from now on all 5 races will be here? Intel, it would not be convenient. After all, if they want to do it they need the permission of their deities before doing so. This pact makes Beltran adopt a guardian position before the occupant, and I do not think my sister would like her subordinates to be under my wing as she is Beltran's lady. Therefore they would be abandoning the blessing of their goddess for mine if they did. The same would be the case for Prim and Kagaya. Both have their benefactor divinities, so they must speak to their gods before doing that, or they will be considered heretics for abandoning their faith for another. Lu, ha ha ha, so my sister and I can make a pact, right? After all, either of us has a pact with a deity. We're only allied with the Western deity because of our alliance with Kagaya. Kagaya, that's true, you don't profess for our god, so there would be no problem. Intel, are Lu and Mel safe? Mel, I guess so, after all we know you well and you are not demanding, plus we could be allies with your people and Celestine-chan. Celestine, they already are, Mel. Intel, Beltran, can you prepare the acceptance ritual? Beltran, right away, my lady. Beltran began to head towards the center of the altar while Intel and the others walked around the sanctuary a bit until the preparations for Mel and Lu were ready. During their walk they all saw many types of animals that they had not seen before. Seraphil was the happiest because of this when she found the giant deer that her sister mentioned before drinking water from the lake. She tried to get a little closer to it, but before she could do so a huge turtle emerged from the lake, surprising her a little by its size. The others seeing this approached to appreciate it, but they did not count on the turtle suddenly attacking them. They all moved away from the area of the blow only to see how from under the huge turtle several more smaller ones came out of there until they reached a fruit tree and began to eat its leaves and fruits under the protective gaze of the enormous mother turtle. Intel, be careful. The wildlife here is very protective of its young, especially at this time when the eggs are hatching. That turtle just drove them away from the place so that its children could go out to eat. Sona, sister, behave yourself, will you? You almost made us attack a mother and her babies with your antics. Seraphil, sorry, I just wanted to touch the deer. They all saw how she lowered her head at that, but before that they noticed how the deer was standing behind her staring at her. Sona, sister slowly advances towards us, yes. Seraphil, why? Her question was answered by a loud breath behind her, so she slowly turned her head, noticing the deer's gaze on her. Intel, don't worry, he doesn't have any bad intentions, he's just curious about us. After all, deer are playful at this time of year, especially young ones who haven't yet reached maturity. Kagaya, is that a young fawn? How big would an adult be then? Celestine, much bigger than Kagaya, but they don't show themselves much because they constantly watch their areas. Eleonora, incredible, it's a shame these beings aren't in our kingdom too. Celestine, they did, many years ago they inhabited this entire world like many other species. but wars extinguished them, so they had to return here where they could live thanks to the forest. Astrid, it's a shame, but why are there forests here of all places? Until, for the guardian, even when he was asleep, his energy healed and kept the essence of the entire forest healthy. Basically, he is the heart of this entire forest. That is why they came here, so that the guardian would heal them and take care of them even if he was not there. Tsubaki, that's amazing, it's almost like it's a separate pantheon just for them. Kahaku, and it is, I can feel it from my animal side, this place is warm and safe for all of them, it's like a home where you would always be welcomed as long as you respected the rules. They all remained thinking about what was said until they heard Seraphal's whimpering and Sona's struggles, all because Seraphal began to bother the fawn more than necessary and, in revenge, he grabbed her head with his jaw, shaking her from side to side while she tried to get away from there. All. Until, I forgot to tell you that they are also spiteful and vengeful if you bother them too much. Prim, shouldn't we help her? Gabriel, I think that would be best, right? Griselda, let's leave her a little longer, she must learn not to disturb the beings who live in peace with her games. Mel, ha 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 ha, they are devouring, haha. Mel began to search for Lu everywhere without success, being seen by the others. Momo, hey, have you seen Aika perhaps? Tsubaki, oh no, she got away again, Sona won't kill for leaving her unguarded. Irina, wait, if you're not sure it was with Issei. Yura, surely. Nal, and Lu must have followed her just because she was bored. Kagaya, I already said that she was quite calm about how she is, I hope she doesn't get into trouble. Celestine, don't worry, I don't think he'll cause any trouble if he just followed Aika to Issei, right? And as if that were not enough, they all heard a loud hiss followed by several fallen trees heading in their direction. The fawn and the mother turtle as well as her young quickly raised their heads and left there, alerting everyone, while Seraphal cried, wiping the drool from her head next to Sona, who reprimanded her. They all then heard Lu and Aika's screams asking for help, only for both of them to appear from some bushes along with a huge snake that was chasing them. Kagaya, aha, it won't cause trouble, won't it, Celestine? Celestine. Olga, and that's it. Intel, a basilisk, but it shouldn't be awake, it should be hibernating with its young for another week or so? Iris, well, it doesn't seem like it. Alicia, stand by my side, we'll protect Prim from that. Lucy, wait, I don't think we should, maybe we can solve this peacefully. Elda, well, that thing doesn't seem to hear us. Intel, stay still. Celestine, but they. Before it ended, they all saw how Beltran came out from the left running towards the basilisk. When he managed to intercept it, he hugged it by the neck while he summoned his vines around the body of the enormous snake, preventing its movement. Aika and Lu shouted with joy for that, but the next thing terrified them. The basilisk managed to escape from its confinement, and wrapped itself around Beltran, who could not stop it. They all witnessed how the basilisk exerted force, breaking Beltran's entire wooden body due to the pressure it exerted. They were all scared by that. But before they could intervene, a wyvern emerged from the trees and flew forcefully towards the basilisk's head, hitting it hard, causing it to release Beltran, who fell to the ground without moving. Wyvern and basilisk just stared at each other, waiting to attack each other, while all the women went to Beltran, who didn't seem awake. Chapter 16. Beltran was lying on the ground with no sign of moving. The girls, seeing him, went to him because the wyvern took the basilisk from the area. Celestine and Intel were the ones who quickly went to him, followed by Aika and the rest, who were worried in the same way. When they arrived with him, the look of all was of horror between some tears. Beltran was completely destroyed to the point that his core was exposed in all its wooden structure. Aika and Irina, seeing his state, only approached the core, trying to call Issei's soul. Aika, Issei, are you there? Answer, Issei. Irina, Issei, call, please answer? But no matter how much they called him, he didn't respond. Intel approached and noticed how the essence of the guardian's aura was off, and she was alerted by that. Intel, get away from him now. I need to take him to the altar now. Intel didn't even wait, and with her power she pushed everyone out of her way while she used her magic to levitate Beltran while she chanted a song. Intel, O great Lord of the North, please come to my call and give me your strength. Before any of the others could say anything or reproach her for her action, they all heard something approaching galloping from the north. From between the trees a huge ancient deer emerged and looked at Intel before approaching Beltran and carrying him with its antlers, being followed by Intel. When it finished, they both ran towards the center of the citadel, where the altar was where Beltran's body previously rested when she woke him up. Aika, Issei, where are you taking it, you damn big-eared hitch? Sona, Aika, be careful, she is a goddess, remember. Aika, but what about Issei? Celestine, he went to the altar, she must be taking him there to treat his wounds, let's all go. They all just ran towards where Intel and the deer went along with Beltran's body. Almost showed a face of concern for his safety. After all, he was an acquaintance to some and salvation for others. When they all arrived at the center of the citadel and the altar of Beltran, they could only see how Intel was guiding the deer towards a pedestal surrounded by a pond and several large trees. They all rushed towards her to see the situation, but before they could do so, a strong wall of thorns emerged around the place, preventing any of them from passing inside. Celestine, Goddess Intel? Intel, I'm sorry Celestine, but no one but me can get in now. Go back to the village and fortify it. Beltran won't be around to do it from now on. Sorry, but that's all I can say right now. The wall just finished covering the whole place without giving them a vision of what was happening inside at that moment. They were all worried, but they came out of that state when suddenly Aika got angry and attacked with the whole wall trying to pass it. Aika, give it back to me. You damn wretch. Sona, Aika, calm down right now. Aika, don't get involved. Aika was about to attack her, but suddenly the gauntlet resonated in the place, disappearing from her hand, depriving her of using her power. Aika fell to the ground while looking at her arm. Aika, Draig. What the hell are you doing? Drake, calm down. Aika, how do you expect her to be calm when she took Issei away without giving us any clue as to what's happening to him? Drake, and whose fault do you think it is? If you had heard to leave him alone so he could do his duty, he wouldn't have had to fight the basilisk to save you and that dwarf. This is your fault. He's in that state because you couldn't last a bucking minute without him. Sona, Drake, don't you think it's too much? Drake, no, she must understand. All of this is due to her obsessive love for him. Now not only is he not here, but the defense that the weapon will fall. What do you think will happen to all of them if that happens? Seraphil, Celestine, I think we should go back to the village. Celestine, yes, let's go now. I must prepare my people in case they attack us. Prim, my warriors will also help in your defense, Celestine. Olga, Hugh, mine will too. If you fall, we follow. Lou, my people will participate in defending the forest too. It's the least I can do for what I did. Kagaya, at least you are aware of your actions. My kuyas are at your disposal, Celestine. We will take care of the defense from a distance with our magic and the healing if necessary. Gabriel, Griselda, we must support them in this. Griselda, understood Gabriel-sama. Irina, Zenobia, help in any way you can. This may be the first time you will be in a war. Try to take care of yourselves. Zenobia, there is. Irina. Seraphil, we will also help. It is because of one of my sister's team members that all this is happening, so we will respond in aid. Rias, don't you think it's just Sona? Seraphil, we will all help, you understand. Remember that you started on the left foot before, so your position as heir and noble is at stake, so shut up, you laugh. Rias. Celestine, thanks for that. Let's go now, we must watch out in case the enemy appears. Now we don't have our guardian. Let's pray that the goddess Intel can heal him quickly. Aika. Sona, Aika, let's go now. Aika. Drake, listen to him if you want to use my power again, and I can assure you that if Issei heals you will need him to help him. Aika didn't answer but stood up and followed Sona and the rest back to the village to prepare the troops in case they wanted to invade them at that time when they didn't have Beltran. While inside the dome of vines and thorns, Beltran was in the middle of the altar with the core completely exposed while Intel was kneeling down conjuring some words that illuminated the pond in a green hue, while outside the walls of the forest both the wall and the tree soldiers began to slowly wither, which was noticed by a small enemy advance party that was hoping to get news of what was happening in the forest. Seeing this, they quickly alerted the leaders of their group to bring the army to take the forest and its women. Meanwhile, in the same forest in the middle of the mountain there was an old tree that began to perish, while next to it a shoot began to grow, demonstrating the cycle of natural life. The same forest felt this, so silent to everything that was not flora and fauna. The forest began to whisper in all its corners. Something would happen, and the forest was aware. The rest of the fragments of Issei's soul also felt the state of the main one. Their reincarnations felt that, so without hesitation they began to head towards their location at full speed, while apparently the main piece that was in Beltran called them in some way. In the forest of the elves, a creature came out of the swamp and began its journey towards the wall at a slow pace through the vegetation. In the valley of rocks, an enormous beast emerged from what was previously the sanctuary of the earth elemental and charged towards nothingness. In a volcanic area, a bird came out of the volcano, causing a potentially destructive eruption as it disappeared into the clouds. The ocean began to tremble when a huge figure emerged from the depths, going to dry land. On the largest mountain that touched the sky, a figure woke up at the top, and without waiting jumped towards the precipice of clouds and stars. In the sky, a golden figure only changed its natural trajectory to head towards where the darkness loomed, while in the darkness something woke up and roared as it ran towards the horizon where dawn emerged every day. 7 fantastic creatures awoke from their sleep with an uncertain destiny in mind, each one a living legend in the flesh. Many things will happen from now on. The only thing missing is for all the pieces to be in position. Something bigger than they think is happening. The survival of the kingdom was the icing on the cake. The decoration for what was coming. Not only the way of life of the people of the kingdom was at stake, but all life in the world was. Chapter 17. The whole town was scared. They lost their guardian and all their defenses that they had created. They were defenseless again in a sense. The few elves who knew how to use weapons and were warriors enlisted, while the youngest ones headed to the citadel that Beltran rebuilt on foot. The portal was unusable without him, so it was not an option. The human and dwarf warriors were preparing for close combat at the request of their leaders. While Alicia and Chloe directed them in their preparation, the Kuyas and elves positioned themselves in the remains of the wall to attack from a distance, and the rest would be the group that would redirect the non-combatants to the citadel. Seraphil and Gabriel were in trouble. They did not receive any messages from their factions. Something was preventing them from requesting help apparently. Things were chaotic in the forest. The elves were worried because since Beltran fell, no animals showed up around again, nor not even those who had been helping since before her appearance. Celestine was worried about this. It was not normal for this to happen. Not even her combat reindeer had mysteriously disappeared. The matriarchs of the clans were gathered, as well as each leader and guest, to devise a defense or fortification plan before the enemy noticed their condition. The conversation was undoubtedly heated. Since many blamed Aika for this, even more so with her recent transfer to the side of the demons. Nord no, what will we do now? Even if we fortify the surroundings, if they attack with fire magic, we won't be able to do much. The walls wither away every second and won't last long. Lucy Menelimia, my clan warriors are trying to hold the wall with our green magic, but their degradation is greater than what we can cure in the time frame. But seeing their condition, I plan to stop doing so and wait to counterattack with them. I don't want them to weaken trying to hold the wall and be the first to fall to the enemy. Miseria Stentrem, my black magicians are preparing traps to stop them, but beyond that I don't think we can contribute much to the war. We are area attackers, but when our forces collide we will be useless. Delva Celebrian, my dark elf troops are ready to charge at them at that moment. We lost our home to them, so we will give them everything to get revenge. Elda Ballad, my group of warriors are ready too, Commander Celebrian. We will charge forward. Being heavy attack magic users, our axes will open a path, splitting them in half. Eleonora, my priests are ready to treat the wounded, but we can't fight, we can only support with our magic. Mel, we will go alongside the dark elves. We don't trust them, but if they go ahead we will not stay behind them. Ballad, I hope your little legs don't make you trip, dwarf. Mel, and I don't want your big tits to make you a cow. They both smiled fiercely at each other, while their acquaintances denied that they were joking about this situation. Seraphil, I have no warning from my people. Something is preventing me from calling them or transporting to them. Gabriel, same here. Something's stopping us from asking for help from outside. We're alone in this. Astrid, Something is also preventing medium-distance communications. They've basically isolated us from the outside world. Perhaps some countermeasure device for us? Iris, even with that against us, we will not fall to them. The Kuroinu are ready to charge against them. We will not give them quarter. Olga, if my people fall here, I will give everything to at least not give them the pleasure of submitting us without resistance. They all looked at each other as they nodded to what they should do, but an abrupt interruption caught their attention when a Kuya warrior appeared. Kuya, the wall army observed the enemy charging in our direction. They are estimated to triple the forces of the previous attack, ma'am. That information surprised them. The number was 3 times greater than last time, and they were heading this way. Apparently, they didn't have much more time to prepare. Celestine, did anyone see if another guardian was with them? Kuya, no ma'am, no one else has been seen with them yet. Prim, I don't know if that makes me feel safe or not. Celestine, it's better if they have it. Olga, why? Celestine, if they have another one, we can use it to our advantage. If we defeat him and manage to take his core to the goddess, she might be able to revitalize Beltran again and recover him. Gabriel, that's if we can defeat him altogether while the army prevents the soldiers from interfering. Alicia, it's a risky bet, but without him we don't have our attack force. What surprises me is that he fell so easily to that basilisk. Astrid, it's not because of his strength. I remember you mentioned that he absorbed another guardian, right? Maybe his body was still adapting to that, and therefore was unprotected by the synchronization between both souls. Remember that they are conceptual beings that carry the power of the elements within them. A fusion is not easy and would take time to achieve. Griselda, basically, we didn't give him a chance to adapt his body to his new soul, right? Astrid, exactly, he fought while weak and unprotected. Aika and Lu just hung their heads at that while regretting what they did. Celestine, that doesn't matter now. We must see how to face an army that outnumbers us, and that possibly isn't showing its full reach yet. I'm worried that the forest has been silent since that happened to Beltran. It seems to be angry with us for causing it to get hurt. Not even the animals approach us, and they disappeared as if nothing happened. Olga, I wouldn't worry about that now, Celestine. We are about to face a war to take into account the animals and the forest. We must focus on surviving. I don't want to become a toy for the enemy. They all began to think about the things that would happen to them if they lost the battle. No doubt they would all have nightmares because of it. While that was happening in the citadel, the altar area intel was exhausted watching how Beltran's core was losing color more and more. It was slowly dying. Its body could not adapt all the energy from the fusion with the rock element, so this abrupt interruption was slowly destroying the core while leaking the energy, causing the plants around it to harden, turning into rock from the reaction. Intel did not know what to do. It was trying to contain that elemental energy to give the core a chance to be able to use it or consume it completely. Intel, damn, it's not working. It keeps rejecting it. I don't think I can get it back. I'm sorry, Beltran and young man. We failed you. The deer just looked at her and approached her, beginning to give her natural energy so that she could recover, which was noticed by her who, despite not seeing a solution, continued trying. She prevented the soul of young Issei from reincarnating normally, so she had to continue trying to save him. So with her energy recovering, she continued trying to unite both elemental energies into a single element on her own. But the ancient deer knew that it would not happen, but something else would. She was aware of what the forest was waiting for, and without a doubt he would be there to wait for him, Huge figures were on their way to the forest, all from different directions but converging into one, figures that represented the elements in an animalistic way, protectors of the guardians who remained waiting for the moment to return to the world, to begin a new era, but before that they had to do one last act. An act that would reconstruct an ancient vestige for the new era that was coming in the near future.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.